Hello and welcome to Garble Games. This is Star Trek Morpheus.
Hello and welcome to episode. It should be
That's good.
11,
if you count the lost one, but yes.
But unfortunately we lost the last episode. So this is episode 10B. 10 and a half. Episode 10 and a half. I'm Pete. In a moment we'll go around and everyone will tell you who they are and who they're playing. And hopefully Dan will get here by then. But before we do, please don't forget to go and check out all the social media links below. Please also check out our Discord. I think we got back over 100. We got to 100 members, but that was because a load of trolls invaded the Discord and put lots of dodgy pictures in a lot of the channels, but we've got rid of them. And we've now got admin instituted across many people and time zones, so good stuff. And you never know, you might enjoy that kind of thing. Anyway, please also check out our Patreon. We are giving away lots of cool stuff, background information to our shows. I've put the player brief for the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Flint and Steel, which starts next week on there, so all our patrons can see that. Please go and check out all our other shows. We've got Flint and Steel, and we've got Dark Heresy, we've got Scion, and we've got, what's the other one that I'm missing off the top of my head?
Well, that's the other three, but you've got that special one coming up in a couple of weeks of Spire, I think.
We do. We have a special one-shot that Ben is going to run of Spire from Rowan, Rook and Deckard. And this is a special one-off where we're actually going to give away 2 RPG books and 2 special posters. And we'll be sharing that on Facebook and all the social medias very soon.
I was just about to say, you could look at the last episode, because we actually had them when we showed them in the last episode.
Yeah, but unfortunately not. No, I took them indoors for a photo shoot. And I left them there. But that's okay.
We'll take the channel to new levels.
I like it. Okay. Is there anything else to discuss? I don't think so. No. So, without any further ado...
Right. Well, I'm Adam, and I'm running this game of Star Trek Adventures, Star Trek Morpheus.
I'm Sam, and I'm playing Dr. Kren, the ship's Chief Medical Officer.
Hello, I'm Keith. I'm playing Captain Sorrel Thaviak, Captain of the USS Enterprise G.
Hi, I'm Dan, and I'm playing Zelvok, the Vulcan Security Officer.
Hi, I'm Pete, and I'm playing Grio Tovon, the Cardassian Science Officer.
More grinning Vulcans.
That's kind.
Just like if you did do like the traditional 80s people coming in versions of things, then you could have like the...
Oh yeah,
Vulcan grinning.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. Like the
blank face,
3 split screen kind of Dallas style, like
exactly, and it emoting hellishly, but never does it in the actual episodes. Anyway,
Have we done a recap?
No, we're just about to.
But
you were right. You beamed in just in time.
Yes.
I see. Yeah.
What I was going to say first is that I might try to. I might do this one quite quickly, a little more paced than normal, just to try to see if we can get it finished this week, because I know otherwise it'll be a while before we can go again. So forgive me if I skip over some of the more detailed parts of the rules.
That's okay.
So
I'm fine with
that.
So
Dan and I being serial skipper over of rules when we're running things.
So if we just roll dice and we win, right?
yes, indeed.
No, mostly those rules are just the grappling rules.
All right. That's at least 2 suggestions, if not 3.
Yeah.
But yes, to recap. Before last session that we have unfortunately lost, which I tried to tell everyone to do again, but they wouldn't go for it.
It's a real shame actually, because I really liked your recap last week with the time jumps.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
I wanted to play the entire session again.
Like a time skip.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to?
It doesn't have grappling in the index.
There are grapple rules.
Oh dear.
There's something you can sort of spend momentum on if you're doing anyway. Hand-to-hand fight combat thing. There are rules. They're a bit overpowered actually. So I recommend grappling whenever you can. Anyway, so before last session we'd appeared in a system that had been sort of colloquially called the Shadow System, where everything was frozen in time. All the Chronotons had been drained from it, so nothing moved in time here anymore. They found that the USS Enterprise was also frozen in time here, slightly outside of where they would have naturally occurred.
As if someone did it to them.
Indeed. It's hard to sense here. It's all dark because there's no time for the light to move in. But as they did explore further in with a probe and then sort of finally moving in themselves, they found that the planet did appear to have been occupied, all the occupants frozen in time. A fleet forming in the sky above it. There seemed to be some sort of defensive fleet and a sort of a very small, very still working experiment on the planet's base, producing a very tiny amount of anti-chronotons before they disappeared. The species that seemed to be on the said planet seem to be some sort of amphibian-like people, from my poor drawings.
Frog creatures.
It's a frog gorilla.
It's a frog gorilla.
A frog gorilla.
And a frog bat.
And frog bats.
And a giant newt.
Indeed, and also some giant newt type things and
And a
some sort
starfish.
of unusual starfish-like people. There was, however, a brief last session skip around in time, whereby they did have some weird visions of the past and the future, and did interfere with their own past.
And I experimented with changing the timeline.
As I recall, it was all the Cardassians' fault.
And we yelled at him for experimenting with changing.
I wasn't
the
talking
time.
about that specifically.
Hints of
Now blame Cardassians.
hints of a different species called the Ithian that seemed to have possibly some sort of purple people with the sort of orange diamond-like structures on their skin that seemed to possibly have destroyed the Federation in one future, but also joined it in another. It was very confusing and uncertain and flashy.
Almost as if our choices right now had a teetering moment.
Who knows? I believe at some point there was a vision of the sort of outside of one of a ship that probably would be an Ithian ship, with including all these people on a sort of ridge at the front. This doesn't collapse.
It looks like a telescope, but it's not.
Were these kind of crystals or
No, they're sort of warp lines type things at the end. They're sort of like in the cells stuck in the final cylinder at the back. The smallest one have a bunch of sort of blue outlines on them.
Like a nacelle sticking out the back, basically.
Well, like a bunch of them stuck on like one cylinder.
Okay. Right,
Just
okay, gotcha.
probably about 8, matching the number of people in the front. Yes, and then last week the probe had done a bit of a crash. Did find out a lot of interesting information, but did do a bit of a crash, and caused it to beam up one of these. What I think you discovered were called
sorry
Zimians.
about that.
Zimians, yes.
See,
And one
now,
named Koglos, who did seem to be the head scientist of the
if we were
facility.
replaying this episode, you could have stopped that from happening.
I'd do the same thing again.
totally worth it?
Yeah, totally.
So, the Ithians are still not to be seen in this present
And
time.
he's in the med bay, isn't
We're
he?
taken him to
Koglos
med bay
is currently behind a force field in med
And we were
bay.
using
and discovered he may be a symbiotic species, potentially.
some sort of... What was the...
And you got really
signing
annoyed because we all got
translation
creeped out by
machine that we were
symbiotes.
using?
Yeah, we were using
Was it a hologram or...
It's a
or a
hologram that's
picture?
making the hand movements for.
Indeed, they don't seem...
And this ship was largely holographic.
It was, yes.
Which is why it's interesting that we're there, because our ship is also largely holographic.
Indeed.
I'm currently working on sort of like some anti-holographic weapons.
Weaponry.
Yes.
Which were not for the fact that a lot of ours were composed of holograms, this would be easier.
Yeah.
And there was a whole discussion about the episode where 709 modifies a holographic grenade to blow up all the holographic grenades.
Yes.
Because she gets shot and drops it.
See, you can say it again, as he did last week, but we don't have last week to prove it.
There was also a rather longer debate as to whether the Year of Hell technically ever happened, but I think we should just not have that one again.
Didn't happen.
Just like last week.
Didn't happen.
Just like most of Voyager.
That wasn't part of the Year of Hell. That was...
No.
Killing
The
game.
separate bit in the... Anyway, no, we're not doing it again. It didn't happen.
Yeah.
Koglos does appear to be mostly infestated with some sort of small single-celled life form, like a fungi-like thing that seems to have entirely throughout their body, including around their sort of nerve endings. It seemed to have spontaneously caused
Infestated.
various neural clusters throughout his or her body,
Anti-symbiote.
or their body. And they were just having a discussion while you were still trying to, I think, get the captain down for proper first contact. While you were still.
You want to put your hat on.
I was suggesting once I was happy to take the force field down that we should possibly move to the briefing room or something. for
Why
the
are we
first
taking the
contacts.
shields down?
Because I'm reasonably certain I've equilibrated his Chronitons with our environment, and that he doesn't have any unusual environmental needs that will make the ship's fundamental environment hostile to him.
He will ask
Captain,
again.
I
using
disagree
his.
with the doctor's assessment of the situation.
Noted. Proceed, Doctor.
one-handed sign language. That's
I'm
very
on a
complicated.
screen in the other.
I'm not even there.
Captain,
They've gone down for first
however,
contact.
Captain, where would you like us to hold the briefing? I genuinely
okay.
don't mind.
Sure, why not the briefing room? We'll move the briefing room.
Why
down
can't
to
we
you.
project all ourselves into the briefing room so we can all be in the same place, but we're actually where we are?
I'm ignoring them and listening to my patient.
Because that's just super lazy.
He's asking again. So you still don't know what happened to these 40 colonies?
We don't know. As
Come
I
on,
said, we need
Zelvox,
to-
are you still in bed?
we have literally only, in the last 24 hours, discovered even this is your central system.
And again, it's the computer's voice because he's doing sign language type things with one hand very agilely. Um,
And
So-
you're on a route that we use frequently. So, as I say, despite the fact you're on one of our major routes, we have only just discovered this system. The damage done by the anti-Chroniton is complete. You are dead to all sensors, effectively. So I cannot tell you what's happened with your other colonies, because we've not found any yet. But that doesn't mean that's not there.
I think maybe he should be here.
You were here. I think
I was on a screen.
we should go and talk to the captain and he can explain.
Obviously, that doesn't mean that they're not there. We just haven't found them
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah,
I'm going to be ordering some security personnel to mid-bay. Because if there's no shields, then he's bloody well getting an escort.
Yeah, that's regulation.
Yeah, I suppose we need to do like first contact and stuff.
yes, they're probably protocols.
I brush up on my phone contact.
I go to the briefing room.
I'm going to take him to the briefing room with my vast security entourage.
3 of us.
If I see the cat on the way, I'm going to take the cat with me.
Okay.
Just
you'll see the cat. It'll be in the form of a hairless. It's one of the Sphinx cats.
oh, nice.
This is mine.
Don't know what
It's
that
very
is.
warm and
That's mad.
somehow still soft when you pick it up. Like Sphinx cats do.
Yes.
Right.
It's not cat.
I will be waiting in the briefing room.
I will
Right.
take him to the
So
briefing
he
room.
will look a bit confused at the people that look a bit armed and dangerous next to him, but
They're just an escort. Do not worry.
right.
I'll stay next to him.
You do notice he has got some sort of I don't know how best to describe it, like an eye thing, like with a little screen that seems to like a Google Glass, but only like half of it, or some sort of viewfinder.
like a Gem Hadar.
Yeah, actually, yeah, like
Yeah.
one of those. I was trying to remember there was a
Yeah.
Star Trek version thereof, like one of those.
Yeah.
All the weird sighty
Is
things.
it transmitting anything?
No, well, he seems to have tried to touch it a couple of times. It seems to be trying to. It's sending out signals and passing them back.
Going to link up to his data
But
network.
I suppose
isn't
when
it?
it's not connecting with anything.
Yeah.
Loading.
The Virak.
Tavayak.
The Viac.
Captain Vike. You.
Yeah.
Just captain.
No, I'll do it properly.
So, get to the briefing room.
Right. This is Captain Tavarak of the Enterprise G. This is Coglos, Zimian civilization. As you can probably tell by the computer protocols, they primarily use a sign language rather than a vocal language. So the computer is translating for us with the use of a holographic sign.
Have you brought it with you, or do I need to set it up in here? I'll
Oh
set
no, automatic. The computer does it automatically.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
sort of,
I don't.
Walk along with
I
you.
pay no attention to the hologram. I just look straight to him like I'm talking to him.
He does like a bow and then seems to be signaling at the same time.
Pleased to meet you, Coglos.
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 Yes, I'm Coglos, head of Anti-Ithian Research Facility. So, sorry, I keep forgetting to do
my ears prick up when you say Anti-Ithian Research Facility, just from the background.
So yes, what is the status of my people, my planet, my civilization? What?
Currently, they are out of time. They have been nullified by what appears to be Ithian technology. Your entire system is isolated from the flow of regular space-time. Every single one of your Chronitons have been removed. The star is, from outside your system, not visible. The light cannot escape.
It's as we feared them. Yeah, it's as we feared them. So we,
It's all still there, though.
the Ithians harvested us all. They probably did with the same with the other systems. Well, we feared that they would destroy us all. So that's better than the other options.
Harvested?
Removed all the Chronitons. They use Chronitons. They wanted us to create Chronitons. They need them. They say to live, but I'm not sure how much I trust that. they need them to survive, so that they, in essence, held us hostage if we didn't make them for them. They said they'd give us technologies and other things, but it was quite clear that we couldn't expand beyond our colonies, we couldn't explore, we couldn't go anywhere we didn't want to without their say-so, and there were a few violent altercations, and so we tried beginning our secret research project to design a weapon against them, to stop them, because they move too quickly. Once they get moving...
Are they not able to create Chronitons themselves?
No, they can only harvest them. That's what they've probably done to our system here.
Interesting.
That was one of our suppositions.
Yes, it was.
Because obviously the nature of chromatons, the chromatin level does begin to raise in your system every few years, and then they are suddenly all depleted again.
How long?
It's about 30 to 40 years that there's a pattern.
Yes, but for how long have they been doing this?
A long time. I'm still analysing that data set.
We believe, there is no records of a star in this area on any of our Federation's charts. They have charts going back several thousand years.
However, I don't think this is the primary focus we should have. I think we need to prepare ourselves for the Ithians' return. We've seen what they've done to the Attenborough, and I think we need your assistance
They also
with your research facility.
One of our ships has become trapped here for about 25 years ago.
A bit further out, actually, and that's how we know they were harvested, because it wasn't within the area that would have been affected, such as your worlds.
At the same time, we're all from spacefaring races who have been moving in and around our quadrant for, between us, several hundred years, if not longer. We've never encountered...
I'll just point at the Vulcan.
We've
Not that they'd
never
tell us.
encountered them, which suggests they are
The
not
Ithians.
the prevalent power within this galaxy that they were before they harvested your planet. We don't know what's happening, but we've never encountered them until very recently.
Well, I can only tell you what the situation was where we were expanding. We found other life, but nothing sentient in the areas we had expanded to. Yes, we hadn't found anything, and then we came across them, and they said that they were a higher civilization, but they were willing to talk to us as a primitive people and show us the way. That there weren't many of them, that they'd needed the Chronitons to live, and that they'd therefore desperate and would exchange new technologies for them. But after we didn't get any results within a year, translate time, Star Trek amazingly. We didn't get any results in a year. They they harvested one of our systems as an example. They said it was because we were expanding too fast, that we were not ready for going as far as we were.
Do you know where they came from?
They didn't say. They just said they no longer had a home. They'd moved beyond it.
Right. Can you show me on the star chart where your systems are?
Yes.
I call up a star chart.
How many thousand years do we need to adjust by?
Yes, I'll do
we can, as long as we give them the current position of their system, which is here, blip, all the surrounding stars, and it could quite possibly that there'll be stellar voids.
The computer can just wind back.
Yeah.
It can see all the current trajectories and wind back.
Holographic shit, we don't need to worry about 3D panel. We'll just fill the
Yeah, and I'm doing this in the air. I've got a little time dial.
Is it green?
Yes.
Are we nearest Vulcan of the main Federation world?
I think so.
We were.
From what I remember.
So it might be worth pointing that out as a reference point of one of our worlds.
If we're close to Vulcan, that's dangerously close to Earth, because Vulcan's only, 12 light years away?
I thought it was...
It's like an hour by warp.
Yeah.
It's not far.
It wasn't Vulcan, was it? It was not Andorian.
Andoria's pretty close.
But they're all pretty close. You're
But
sort of in the
this is
middle of the
point, we're
Federation.
in- yeah. And this is
I think
the point
Vulcan is
we're
the
in.
closest of the main founder planets. And
We're in
stuff,
well-charted
Earth's
territory.
not that far away. It's not that.
Yeah. Well,
Founders.
we will.
Sorry.
Say the F word.
The founding species of the Federation. Yeah.
That's a point, actually.
But it does take a while to you do bring all this up. You do look through it all. It does.
Sure.
It takes a while actually because when these systems are Chroniton free, they're not really affected by gravity in the same way, so they don't follow the same orbiting pattern. They kind of go off.
I was just about to ask, how is gravity?
But then it starts affecting them again, so they kind of get pulled back in a little bit. They kind of
It comes up and down and up and down,
kind
so
of
they're
kind
kind
of
of
going-
curving and...
But they're kind of slowly leaving actually the galaxy. Not that quickly, but they're slowly kind of slowly leaving the galaxy because they're not being pulled in as much. So
So that's why we probably never encountered them, because they're never in the same place. They're actually moving,
Yes.
not with the rest
well,
of the
they continue with the same velocity they had before, but they're not currently being accelerated by anything. So the gravity is building them, but they're continuing on, relatively speaking, because velocity is relative but doesn't require any interaction. Whereas gravity and acceleration does. So yeah, they're slowly sort of spinning out of the galaxy, very slowly and slightly, but it means that you couldn't. You really, if you even knew their previous position, you wouldn't know where they were. That's why the Attenborough probably wasn't found, because as soon as they got there, it had kind of gone off course a bit.
Sure.
So it takes a while, and you work out where things are, and you've worked out it's probably been around 1,500 years, and since these people have been frozen, this system has been frozen in time. That where all these other 30 systems are, there were lights, but I mean, records going back that far for more or less every civilization are basically from the home planet looking out. So a bunch of 30 stars disappearing. They just assumed novas, unexplained stellar phenomena. It's one of those things you're like,
errors.
oh yeah, that kind of the 30 systems disappearing over that period of time. That's a thing. Yeah. They could, you might have called it,
Out of the billion of stars, you're like,
well, exactly. Out of all the stars in the galaxy, wasn't that
So
significant?
that's the margin of error, really, isn't it?
if you're lucky.
So yeah, you can work out where they probably would be, but obviously there's nothing there. They just all disappeared around that sort of time.
Where the wreckage was found.
Yes, seems to be roughly in the middle of where all that would have been. Well, on a course away from it, sort of. If you've been drifting through space about 1,500 years, for instance.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I thought it might help vaguely anchor us.
Yes.
And is there that area of space?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything dangerous nebula or weird black hole not to go near? Is there any reason why people wouldn't have gone around there at all?
Not really. No, it's sort of in the northern part of the Federation, sort of towards, just beyond Vulcan and that sort of area. But it's sort of very much within the middle of the Federation now.
Okay.
It's just a blank star system. So
Well then,
if it gives that no light and
Ithians have been up to then.
gives no gravity out, then you'd never be able to notice where it was. You just fly past it because it has no readings to pick up.
so we deal with our immediate problems and then go look.
With the Ithians,
Sorry, yes. Go
how
on.
many of them have you met or seen? How many ships?
They have a strange, or at least they had a strange culture. I don't know if it will have changed after all this period of time, but they have 8 people that they talk to other people as. Like they explained it like he has got like a jumpsuit uniform, like a uniform. But it's a bit more than
They
that.
put on the facets of their society.
Sort of. They have these 8 ideals, these 8 figures, that some of which were real, some of which weren't.
That's
that
on the front of their ship.
Yeah. Their ships are sort of weird, long cylinders.
The statues.
I guess.
Holograms.
But they move.
Yeah, holographic.
They talk through them. They move. They don't transmit. They just talk from them.
Right.
They did occasionally visit planets, but again, they had some sort of veil so you couldn't see the actual them, and it would change depending on
the purple people with the red things.
the orange. But yes,
Orange, yes.
in the lower colours. Yeah.
So we don't actually know what they really look like.
Well,
That's just a sort of second skin.
That's what these look like.
there was occasional physical contact, so they have roughly
So
your sort of shape. That's why I assumed you were related to them.
Well, don't think so, no. Not in any way that matters.
They have a 4-legged one that they don't take very often.
Yeah, we saw that on the scans. That's our ship, the ship that belonged to our civilization that was harvested by them, had taken some scans of them before they were frozen.
Yeah, like an Adgar.
And how many ships? How many ships have been seen? How many Ithian ships?
It's hard to tell because they can change shape somehow.
Right, but how many at once?
Oh, 1.
Right.
They said there weren't many of them, but they were powerful, and they didn't. I can't disagree
There's
with that.
one ship of them left, and they need Chronitons to exist. They believe they probably need it for some reason to maintain their technology.
What they've been silent for 1,500 years while we've grown up around them.
That is a very good question.
Frozen themselves?
You should
Well,
ask him.
if you've only got one ship, how far realistically can you go?
And how much do you want to jeopardise what you have if you're safe for now?
Also, if you only have one ship and you're suddenly find yourself surrounded by a federation that has thousands of ships.
Oh, no, in a hurry, so I won't miss a roll. As you're doing this, you think back, and actually there was... thinking about it, there was a similar star disappearing thing about 100 years before this. About 95 years or so, let's say before this. Where like 100 star systems all disappeared around the same sort of time.
Right.
A bit slower, like over the skies.
Can I pop that up on the script on the hologram?
Yeah. And looking through like various different, again, home planet records. Again, this is nothing from Earth because Earth doesn't have records that go back that far.
Sure.
Very legitimately, apart from talking about it, kind of stuff. But I don't know. Vulcan probably does. They're the type of people that would, and maybe Cardassia does. Maybe Trill does. Maybe Andoria does. I don't know. I'll let you guys decide. If
Yeah, didn't we have World War
We
Three
are
and that like destroyed everything?
yeah.
Well, we are a non-human command crew, basically, aren't we? So there's no freaking...
And that was only like that wasn't long ago, was it?
What, World War Three?
Humans World War Three.
No, they're a bit like that.
Yeah.
But from
Anyway.
the various things, the Klingons have lots of records from back there, but they're really unreliable because they say that they were the first civilization out there.
Of
and they were
course,
one
yeah.
So there.
They have loads of records, and the
And then
Herc,
the Herc, yeah. I was just about to say.
but the records are so very disagreeing with each other that you can't.
I mean,
trust them.
and who trusts a Klingon scientist?
Exactly. So yeah, but yeah, it does. As you're looking at it, go, oh wait, maybe that was something.
Okay. Does that look in a similar area?
No, that's like galaxy wide.
Oh, so there was like a scattering.
A scattering
across-
throughout the.
Just enough that people wouldn't really notice, unless some sort of event led you to think that star systems were disappearing.
Just as something else happens, you think maybe these are the ones that wouldn't collide with any others.
Oh, so once they were then,
Or they definitely wouldn't come in
once
that
they were
close to the
harvested,
others. They wouldn't interfere with any
They
of the
wouldn't
others.
interfere with anything to cause any
Maybe.
Or be noticed.
to be noticed. Exactly, they're secretive.
He could have been picking off systems we didn't.
Your con person, what was their name? Lieutenant
Lee's.
on the bridge, who's probably left in charge because you're everyone on the bridge.
Yeah.
A ship of cloaks in front of you. It looks like that.
Red alert! Captain! They're here.
The hologram of me in the room disappears, and you realise I've been on the bridge all along.
You stole my idea. That's fine.
It's sort of it's quite close to you. It's quite dramatic looking. It's kind of next to this floating fleet because you're still probably above the
Yes.
planet of the system.
Point-to-point transport.
It's it's longer than your ship, but it's not quite as sort
I
of
walked
wide.
out of the briefing room onto the bridge.
It's got all these statues. They do look like just big, really tall holograms of people. They look very realistic. They're not actually moving, but as it decloaks and you notice on the bridge that there is one that's wearing like a big, sort of just like hiding down and like wearing a big cloak that has none of this orange patterning. That it's throw back a cloak and stand up
Oh, okay.
as it decloaks.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Very literal.
Watch out for the woman with the staff.
There appears to be one with like a spear
That's
and
it,
like
spear.
a
The
like a pistol.
The woman with the
That's the
spear,
weapon,
because
isn't
the beam comes out of the spear.
Yeah.
And the whole ship is sort of glowing, and all over it there are like friezes, slightly abstract friezes that are in like motion of different things happening. Like there's one of a ship fleeing a planet. There's one of like what looks like you think like the Borg, and them like being and then a fight with this ship and the Borg, and it's like all over the ship. The ship is covered in.
So
sort
it
of,
looks like it's covered in a big screen almost, or
but more like but like an animated art moving
Sure.
across.
Yeah.
And some of it's more stable, and some of it is entirely abstract.
Well,
It's a very busy ship to look at.
I'm scanning
well,
the
they're
shit
flashy
out of this
than
ship.
that.
Are there any melting clocks?
Well, no, ants either.
I'm slipping my head back.
They also made. Yeah, that could go wrong.
Just in case.
I'm with you. Could actually switching sides already.
We've already seen the outcome of this encounter through our time jumps.
Possibly.
Are your shields up, by the way?
Absolutely.
Then their shields are going up as they decloak as well.
Yeah.
They
Shields up, red alert.
Are your weapons charged?
Yeah.
Then their weapons start charging.
Stand down, red alert. Maintain yellow alert.
so just shields, just 50% or something.
Captain, if we already know the outcome of this encounter, perhaps we should take the initiative and open fire now.
Can I scan them first, please?
Yes.
Scan the ship.
It's very, it's definitely mostly holographic. There does seem to be like a core, like a thin core that seems to be projecting the entire thing.
Diplomacy is a
Most
very
of it seems to
exacting
be entirely
science.
holographic. Probably a higher level sophistication than, in some ways, than yours.
Yep.
A little less than a couple, not really, a couple of little ways, a little more, maybe the way you do it, maybe you might think of it as more primitive, depends on how
Right,
attached you are
I'll
to
stop
your
thinking of ways
ways.
to kill it.
It looks very advanced, it looks like...
Yep.
It
This
seems
is all-
to be the highest level of technology that you've seen, really,
Okay.
in that you could describe as technology that isn't like your Q or energy being kind of stuff.
They're like parallel with the
Bit
Iconian
differently.
kind of.
Actually, probably not quite Iconian level of
Okay,
stuff either.
right, okay.
So, yeah,
Tactical analysis, Mr.
that you've seen in like. It's
I'm going to be scanning it.
it's probably a little less than the comparable with the Borg.
Okay. Yeah.
Kren is going to stay with Koglos in the.
Hopefully, only
You're probably
10
comparable with the Borg now.
I'm gonna
Starfleet. So.
make a tactical analysis.
after Voyager will.
You reckon it's probably because again I'm trying to hurry through without too many rolls. And you're good. So you reckon.
Ooh, 50-50. We're fucked.
It's probably a little better than yours, but not by much. You could win.
I like
But the
those odds.
Chroniton beam is.
If I wanted to destroy us as a holographic ship, how would I go about doing it?
Well, the normal ways you'd normally destroy most of a ship, but try to focus on the non-holographic bit, but it's all kind of protected, so break through the extra.
So I wouldn't be able to apply the same theories to that one.
Engine.
You can think of lots of tactical ways of doing it, but I'm willing to hear things later.
Is the engine section with the you said like nacelles around? I think is that holographic?
Yeah, it seems to have, similar to yours, sort of a centre part that seems to be non-holographic. That seems to be a mulled engine that might work without it. You're not entirely sure.
I will relay my tactical analysis to the captain's chair.
So why have they preserved us, Captain?
Somewhat open communications channel, please.
They
Beep.
they don't send any signals back, but at the top of sort of this sort of facing you, sort of the same orientation of your ship, the sort of top equivalent, seems to be moving, like this 20 more metre tall type hologram. It's a small and thin-ish woman wearing some sort of traditional looking uniform kind of thing, maybe. Very vertical rhombi.
Cool. Organised.
Seems to be speaking, not projecting sound through space. There is a transmission for the noise, the sound, but there's no visual other than what's on
The motion of the.
I'll
So we
play
need
it.
to like zoom in to see
Indeed.
the figure moving to get the,
Just-
And all the light that it's giving off seems to be somewhat weirdly entangled with Chroniton, so that it seems to be passing through all these other ones without
Well, they're
interacting.
pumping more chronotons into things, aren't
I'm
they?
sorry just to interrupt the slight flow of things, but just
Sure.
to avoid confusion later on. Kren is presumably going to stay in the briefing room with Koglos because we don't want him on the bridge for this.
Yeah.
So should we assume I'm doing Lee's
Sure.
for this bit?
Okay.
Marvellous.
Okay. What's the
gonna-
statue saying?
Greetings, Enterprise. It's nice to finally talk to you. How are you doing?
We are very confused. Please introduce yourself. You know
Is
us.
it in Federation standard?
Yep. No, she's actually speaking English.
Oh right, okay. Right.
So Federation Standard.
Yeah.
Referred to as English quite frequently throughout the series.
Some form of monkey
The best
noises. Who knows?
They frequently say English, so
They do.
I'm going to assume English has somehow pervaded
American.
into space.
Yeah.
This is how the Federation conquered the galaxy. They basically Americanized everything.
But yes,
Without the guns.
Yeah.
I can understand you're confused. That's what I'd expect. You've probably had enough time to talk to Koglos by now. How's he doing? Bit confused as well, I guess.
He's seems to be quite angry.
Yes, well, that's what you get.
When
4.
It's only on us. I thought he'd be a wonderful example.
Well, he's not really had a chance to explain what happened yet.
to the other billions of people who know that you exist?
Well, they attacked us. those Zimians, they attacked us. They were developing a weapon to try to attack us, to destroy us. And
You said that you harvested all the Chronitons from one of their star systems prior to that.
Well, no, that was when they were talking about it as an example that they shouldn't. We said we'd undo it once they'd, worked a bit harder and proved that they weren't planning to actually do it. It was just an example. They were not harmed. They were fine. They'd just be out of time for a year or two. But they took it badly. You've got to understand, the problem with the Simians is that they're a small life form that wants to expand. They have not quite thrown off their single-tailed roots, so that they can't really control themselves from expanding onto too many planets. I mean, they got those whatever many equals colonies in only about 5 years. They'd expanded. As soon as they got warp drive, and they can breed really quickly because they can have thousands of eggs, and they can, if they need to, transmit themselves into those as their kids, and they grow up very quickly. You don't live that long, but they're a bit short-sighted, and we were trying to guide them to not try to take over the entire galaxy because there wasn't many other people around at that time. And if they'd encountered the Klingons would have killed them all. So
you know about the Klingons?
Oh yeah.
But the Klingons, I assume, don't know about you.
No, well, again, they're too violent. They weren't worthy of our attention. You're the first species that's been worthy of our attention in many years. We made a mistake with the Zimians, really. We would have had to stop them eventually, but... So, yes, you've developed the technology where we think that you're worthy to talk to, that you might be able to help us with our problem, and we can help you. And we think you can be trusted with things that we might be able to offer in exchange.
Is that because of our holographic technology?
Yeah.
What is the problem that you need solving, and what is it you need from us, and what is it you're offering us?
Well, we need Chronitons to survive. We die without them. We can't get them from where we evolved to get them because we unfortunately stupidly destroyed our home system. Which,
Where was your home system?
Oh, it's sort of...
Back that way.
Back that way somewhere. She's on the top of a space.
Yes, she points at the star.
It's in the Gamma Quadrant, but...
I'll leave you to work out exactly where she's pointing.
But we left there for... we moved quite far away from there because there was a horrible time disruption, but there's nothing there now because it wiped itself out. We experimented with Chronitons in a way that you shouldn't. And we learnt from it, but we lost our system to doing so.
What's stopping you from phasing back in with the normal flow of the space-time continuum?
We can.
Using the natural Chronitons of the universe.
We can, but then we'll die. We need them more than that to survive, and we use them up.
Why?
Yeah.
Type that as a question.
Interesting.
What has happened to you that means that is the case?
But we evolved that way. We used up Chronitons as a sort of survival mechanism, playing with time. There was we're not quite sure why, because again, we can't go back and have a look. But we evolved to require Chronitons to live. We use extra ones just living. We use them up from us around us, and then we slowly slow down until we run out.
And I see that you've been removing them from star systems that are empty and non-intrusive to the rest of the galaxy.
Yeah, but we didn't want to, apart from the Zimians, which we had to put on a bit of a time out.
You can understand, however, how your actions with the Zimians might make another civilization a bit cautious about working with you.
Yes, but you should be cautious. We don't want to be crossed. We're willing to work with you. We're willing to trade all of what we know on the Chronitons because you'll need that to make more. But don't turn on us. It's a clear message, nice and simple.
If they know all they need to make them, why don't they just make more?
Yeah, why can't you make them yourselves?
Well, we can't. We've tried, we've theorised, we've come up with various ways, but none of them have worked.
So why do you think you can give us a way that will?
I don't think we can. We think that if we give you all the information that we do know, you'll be able to work it out.
And that will give
You're a great scientist. There's
So currently, your only way of doing it is to absorb it from a star system.
Yeah,
or
and that's not
from
anywhere
matter
near
around
enough.
you.
We've most of us are in anti-Chroniton harvested space, time, as it were, like the Zimians are. We did have a bit more of us flying around, and we did have a bit more, but we are a bit desperate even more at the moment because we had to use a lot more up on, because the Borg started using things, again, wrong. We had to stop them. It took a lot of effort and time, and we did lose quite a few people. that's left us a bit low. There's only a couple of us still really operating
You
around.
had to stop the Borg.
Yeah.
When you say stop the Borg, what do you mean stop the Borg?
Oh, we killed most of them until we finally got agreement that they wouldn't use that technology anymore, and we have regular inspection.
Yeah,
Was it a recent event?
Yeah, probably about 20 years ago to you.
Oh.
Out of character timeline, where would that put the...
Probably around the same time that Voyager was going. Well, that's what I'm going to give time-wise. About the same time Voyager was kind of going through their space.
Oh, okay.
Just not...
That's
around the same time as the first
Voyager did
contact.
so well against the Borg, because they were so busy with the Ithians.
Around the same time as the first contact, when the
Okay.
Borg used a bunch of time travel technology and then
yeah.
never used it again.
Yeah. I like the way you're working in the inaccuracies.
I'm here to fix plot holes. That's my
That's good.
But yeah.
See, that always bugged me. It's like, why didn't the sphere just go through the corner?
I assume that they had a one-off, last-ditch thing. And it's like the thing in
Which,
Galaxy
the
Quest
Ithians
where
said-
it just sends you back 13 seconds. That you can maybe avert a disaster, but it sends you back just enough time.
Activate the Omega 30.
Yes.
But yes, no, I won't claim that we're forgiving or we're overly nice to people, but I think in time we could learn to work with you. I mean, you're not primitive people like everyone else at the moment. You've actually managed to develop to a point where you're a civilization worth talking to.
Right. However, we do wish to explore and expand.
Stare at the captain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you've done it much more sensibly and
About the
carefully. You won't take over the entire galaxy by just covering it in
About the
in
Bajorans. Why
Zimians.
they team up in prophecy.
I've been reminded that it seems to be that one of our members of our civilization have ancient prophecies about your race, and they say you are not to be trusted.
Well,
These people are guided by
Their faith.
and creatures that are outside of linear time.
Yes, they exist within a wormhole between the Alpha Quadrant and the Gamma.
I think you're aware of it. You referenced it earlier on, didn't you?
yeah. The whole sort of front sort of rotates, and now the sort of statue that one seems to sort of go back to sort of a pose of like hero posing, and then sort of revolves round.
Okay.
And then there's like a new one that looks like someone with very prominent. They've no hair on any of them, by the way. Prominent eye, sort of ridges.
Deep
Much
thinking.
fatter kind of guy, being a robe, and he's got some sort of spirally oil clock that he's holding.
Sorry?
Like an oil clock.
Okay, yes, right, okay.
Like
sorry.
an oil-based clock
Yeah,
system.
yeah.
But it's like that, but it's kind of a weird, spirally kind of Escher thing that it looks like it wouldn't quite work.
Cool. Yeah.
I think I like that description.
Yeah.
And all his run by look kind of, it's all the little kind of orange diamond patterns on his skin look kind of, they're much less clean edged, all kind of broken and kind of, they look much more like veins.
Is that one?
Kind of breaking off. Could be, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the eye ridge, isn't there? You can see the big eye ridges.
Big eye ridges. It does the job. It tells you what you need to know.
Oil clock.
Okay,
Yeah,
so this
cool,
is obviously
man.
their intelligent one.
I am Anthos. I am Iacanthos. You won't get it wrong. Iacanthos. I am the father of time, the master of it. Those prophets, I'll say this once, we won't talk about this kind of time manipulation again, but we've only just met, so it's fair to give you this warning. We won't talk about this again, but they're an abomination, and we'd destroy them if we could. Their existence is wrong.
So did it outcast
Rotates back
the wormhole aliens or the
Talking about the prophets.
You were talking about
It rotates back to the other one. But, that's... and it rotates back to the woman again in the uniform. But we'd be willing to discuss leaving them be, because, so far they've not taken too much advantage of their things, and we're willing to let live because, well, honestly, we've tried to kill them a bunch of times, and they're out doing this right now.
What happens if we say no?
We get harvested.
I feel really... they've just said to you, Mr. Trapped on Bajor, hate my people.
Yeah, which is why I want to know.
That they just said we've tried to kill the prophets several times, but failed.
Which is why I want to know.
Yeah.
What happens if we say no? Give me an excuse to fucking shoot.
I'm sending a message to the captain as well. These people are dangerous. They've tried to kill the prophets several times. Yeah, you're saying that. We're all
and look what happened to the last person who tried to do that.
It's like I'm trying to hold a conversation.
Have we
Turn it off. I turned it off.
Yeah, it's just a Twitter feed. It just does.
It's just.
Captain, stop checking your phone.
You seem distracted.
Right, it's on.
You can actually see that happening.
That friend sent you nothing.
Oh, that's brilliant.
You get the angry twitch of the thing. Just,
Oh no, the antenna getting bad temper. Oh, no.
Excellent.
Angry antenna.
they don't point that far.
Bet they do.
If you're cross enough.
They cross.
So, Captain, are you angry? How can you tell? You're cross.
Brilliant.
And you're in humour.
Oh, why did I find it so funny? I know.
Right. Do we know of any like exploitable weakness in the design of our ship that we would not want anyone to know, and is like a secure secret?
Well, the shield frequency and stuff, but no, I don't think you've quite.
So there's nothing like, hey, we rolled out the Morpheus, but don't tell anyone about that thing about holographic ships that no one wants to know.
I don't know. It's your ship. Do you think there's any of those?
No.
No.
Of course there is. It's a Federation starship.
Well.
Okay. Remembering that these guys have been aboard your ship, tinkering with it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and they've made it possible that we can talk to them, and they can
I mean,
probably take it away.
they let the Galaxy class out with a major computer glitch, which meant that
It became sentient,
and then one of them blew up.
Yeah, but they didn't.
and the holodeck could manifest evil
All the
villains
time.
on every week.
Those were known flaws. There's probably
it.
significant amounts of unknown flaws. Yes. I'm pretty sure they didn't say about going. Well, I hope they never try making any kind of Moriarty on the holodeck. Otherwise, they are screwed.
I mean, you don't have the Moriarty override. I mean, I've just run out of time. It's in dry dock tomorrow.
Yeah. So
I'm assuming there's fail-safes on this ship to prevent that kind of thing.
yeah. But because there's probably a bunch of unknown weaknesses. Yes, but you.
No, I just thought if being the slightly weirdo scientist that I am, I may have
Paranoid Kardashian. Oh, sorry.
I may have explored potential weaknesses.
But to be fair, as an engineer and captain of the holographic ship, I'm like, so what happens if I do this? What happens if I do
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Bring them back on board.
They say you can survive for 5 minutes. We'll see. No. Okay.
Right, so we would be willing to look at all the information that you have able to give us, so we can look into a way to manufacture the chronotons you need to prevent just sort of round up space, because we're in space.
You're not on the outside of the ship. You can't gesture around quite emphatically.
Can I text message Kren?
Ping.
Because you're not aware of any of it. Kren's not aware of
I
any of this.
assume we're not letting Cogler see this, so therefore I probably can't
Probably
see
not,
it.
no.
Ithian's evil, tried repeatedly to kill the prophets. Bit worried.
Yep.
Can Coglos turn on his weapon?
I know that. So how close were you, do you think, to being able to detonate anti-chronoton research?
Well, we've not really produced any significantly large amount. Sorry, we've not produced any significantly large amounts, I'm afraid, because we just haven't got there. We've got a small amount going, but we thought that might be adequate enough as a defence. But no, it wasn't to the point where we could, unfortunately, achieve it as a weapon.
Right.
We're hoping for another few months of research, then maybe.
What if it was really close to them? Like, say, on this ship?
No, it just doesn't produce enough.
Not
If
enough.
you could scale it up, but whenever we tried that, it didn't end well. I mentioned the lost labs, yes?
Yes, you did mention the lost labs.
Yeah.
Right. I will text back.
Okay. Would some
not
sort
a
of
weaponism.
can our ship do anything to scale up there?
Can we help?
I don't know. I don't know what your ship can do. It looks all a bit foreign to me.
And sidles off the.
I'm slowly walking off the bridge to the briefing room. No. I'm creating a holographic layer between myself and the door, and I'm walking behind it, and I look like I'm still there. So I'm going to walk into the other room.
That's simple enough. Right.
Right. You don't even know. I'm just going like this. I'm behind you. You're in your chair.
I know. I don't even know, but I've already considered this.
I'm walking across to the
Computer
other
will have
room.
logged this,
And you're here.
We'll have a
You're
report.
I'm going to
There's
the
a
other
report
room.
when basically any
Any
officers
crewmen
try and
create a
fake
holographic
themselves.
copy of themselves. Yes, it gets logged.
You can talk with Coglos and try to work it out, but that will take a minute.
Sure. Yeah.
Continue this conversation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes,
All right. Good.
yes. So
Like I say, in exchange, we will have to give you all information on Chroniton, which will make you basically gods to the rest of it. You'll never have to worry about threats from any of these people. Probably not even the Borg, although they can move it handy. But if they continue into our agreement, then no. We'll let you have all the Zimians if you want. You can have them as a protectorate. They're only the systems are throughout your territory, so speaking. We won't need to. We'll claim a few systems of our own as safe harbour, but other than that, you can. And we'll leave you alone to go to exploring or open negotiations with you, whatever you like. Like I say, we're willing to not destroy the Prophets. They're an abomination, but we understand you're quite attached to them.
like I said, they are held in the main faith of one of our constituent members as essentially their gods. Although now that the truth has been revealed of what they are, where they are not worshipped any less, but there's a greater understanding of what they are.
But in any case, but yeah, you could stop all of the Jemadar doing what they're doing. You know, you'll have all the information as long as if you can make Chronitons, or even just stop us losing them. Because any of our uses of them just cause them to slowly disappear off into some sort of anti-time dimension. They're lost anyway.
So if you can, would you be providing us with the information of your physiology so we can have our scientists look into that to see if there is a way to stabilise you to stop that loss of Chronitons? Surely that would be, I mean, I've not seen the data, that would be easier than to have to keep creating vast amounts to keep you going. Because if you were stabilised, then you could do what you wanted without the help of others. You wouldn't have to rely on us.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we'd be willing to release that.
Okay.
You agree to that?
It seems a fair deal.
Alright. Okay. We'll start the information transfer
Did you just
now.
agree for everybody in the Federation?
No,
Out of character.
I agreed that they would give us all the information and we were looking at a way to either produce Chronitons for them or cure them of their problem.
Okay. And if we don't,
Shoot.
We might not be able to.
sure, then they'll kill us.
Harvesters.
Obviously, we'll keep the Zimian systems until we've got the results and your Attenborough. Because unfortunately, with your recent going back on agreements,
Ransoming us the atom.
we won't be letting you have
Are we
those.
going back on agreement?
Yeah, with the Jemadar. You said you'd give them the ship, you didn't.
Yeah.
I'm afraid we can't quite trust you.
I totally did that. I've not got a problem with it.
I look over at Zelvok and be like, raise an antenna instead of an eyebrow.
If I was a vodka, if I was human, I'd be smiling about that.
I thought that seemed entirely legit.
Yeah, so we'll keep the Zimians and your one ship as a bit of a collateral. Because I mean, they've had 25 years out. Then
I'm just
a few
going to
more
check through my science. My science.
are making a difference, right?
If they're sending over
I'm gonna send you a
physiological data, am I
message.
going to medbay and leaving Coglas with him?
Along the lines
Yes.
of
I'm going to medbay.
direct fire from your torpedoes, the wrong way of doing this. We need to perhaps create some sort of tear or rift in space-time to suck them through.
It's fine. Just use subspace weapons.
Like 12 other options are going through my head
I've
right
not got a
now as
problem
well. So don't worry. I'm on the time rift. That's like, yeah. I'm thinking subspace inversion right now.
Oh, and don't block our sensors.
Sorry?
Don't block our sensors. We want to keep an eye on what you're doing.
How are we blocking your sensors?
Shields.
Not yet. Well, not
no.
yet.
No. I very much disagree with this course of action, Captain. I'm saying that out loud.
Appears we have little choice at the moment, Commander.
There's always a choice, Captain.
Right.
A bit of honesty, never hurt anyone.
Well. It's not
Well, once the
logical
data is complete, we will proceed to the edge of the system where we will analyse the data. It might be that this data has to be transferred to our science labs back in the Federation.
All right. Well, our simulation suggests that your science officer and the crew on board and your crew on board should be able to work it out. But it's only like a 65% or so chance. So, if not, I mean,
Never tell me the odds.
the whole of the Federation and its resources should be able to do it in 6 months, unless something's very wrong with our simulations. In any case.
No,
But I mean, you've got a whole civilization of people. Probably about a couple.
They're expecting.
About 10 billion or so zillions waiting on it.
They're expecting
And
the
your crew and people.
resources of the Federation turned over to that one task. That is absolutely
Well,
a
that
big
won't happen.
no.
No, that won't happen. But this is not a place for the discussion. No, this is essentially a It's essentially a trade agreement.
No, for the record, I think this is a very bad idea and we should be negotiating this.
Well, you are. You have. Right.
Grio Tovon is standing at his comm panel, his computer, randomly pressing buttons.
I really hope he's not actually randomly pressing buttons.
He's not doing anything.
Lights go on.
There's
Lights
like
The
Cardassian, a very handsome Cardassian loop.
Okay. Konthos does appear to go back to the fleet and holds out the oil lamp, and transmission starts coming across about all of this data. Another one of the ones that seems to be taller than the rest, like weirdly thin and taller than humans and whatever would be able to do, that seems to have entirely oddly vertical images, seems to... she seems to open some really large, this big kind of eyes that the rest of us seem to have, and these ears kind of open out from the sides.
Right, okay, so they're watching us.
Right. So, what are you doing?
Don't trust them.
Analysing physiology.
I'm reading through my 26th century time logs. Oh, sorry. I'm actually doing it as I walk into the room.
Right.
So there we go. They reckon you can solve their problem. There we go.
Yes. So, what was the problem? Not enough power? Containment?
Well, no, we simply couldn't scale it up.
polarization?
Every time we scaled it up, it became unstable. Every time we scaled it up, it became unstable and would, in essence, cause a sort of temporal instability, cause some of it to pass different times than others,
That sounds like exactly what we need right now.
and that would damage the local equipment, which would cause the generator of the anti-chronotons and the chronotons to disengage, and then that would, in essence, cause some sort of feedback loop, and which would cause the planets to sort of shear in that local area and destroy continents or so.
That's less
What?
Well,
so,
it won't be a problem if it's on their
what
spaceship. when it
if
happens.
we?
good. That's true.
It's a complicated. Looking at it, and he sort of very quick and digitally. If I had more people, I could share this more. But anyway, he doesn't look horribly stable on his back legs, but
Yeah.
this big.
I'll create a holographic
Seems to
support for him.
No.
Okay.
It looks a bit awkward, but he seems fine. But it's typing very quickly over the screen, and it's making it looks like a very strange sort of subspace field that seems to be forming the edge of a singularity.
Ooh.
That seems to be causing virtual particles to be, to split on both. So
Yeah.
basically, chronotons and antichronotons to both appear.
Interesting.
And the antichronotons are funneled away, and then the antichronotons are sort of roughly held. But the problem is that it's very hard to hold them, because even the fields, if they stimulate them,
binds
interact in the
yeah.
fields,
Yeah.
they seem to then shoot off somewhere else.
Yeah.
We are getting the data dump.
Somewhere else.
We are getting the data dump from these guys too.
Yeah, there's a lot of data coming.
There's a lot of data coming in.
Okay, let's have a look at that as well.
Yeah,
At the same
let's
time.
see if we can make sense of what they've done to make them lose chronotons, and what's going to be whether it's going to be easier to stabilise their current condition or fabricate chronotons.
So I'm
Right.
on physiology, I'm assuming.
Yes,
So what is first priority? What are you?
I believe this is a split priority.
So you're looking at their physiology.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm looking at how you
Assuming
generate
they're happening, which
chronotons.
We don't actually know at this point.
So the
For a weapon, basically.
I mean, I'm assuming they have any wet lab. They might not.
Captain, I assume they're not monitoring our speech to each other?
Probably.
Do I know Federation standard sign language?
Looking at the map scans they've got,
I imagine so will they.
they're probably not getting your speech entirely, because that's probably a bit beyond the scans even they can do at this distance through this atmosphere, as it were, or a lack of chronotons anyway.
Yeah.
But they are definitely getting a good read on your computer.
Sure.
So they can probably read as the input and output, not like the memory banks, but the in and out of what's going in and out.
Yeah, sure. Captain,
So you can probably talk freely, but
these people have tried to kill the prophets
Yes.
several occasions.
Yes.
And I think we need to find a way to nullify them.
Yes.
My hypothesis is that this is their last ship. And they are desperate.
It is probably the last one. All the rest of the chronotons run out.
Or at least the
Yes.
last one that's active.
And the others we will be able to find and dispose of properly. Oh my god, look at this data they've sent through!
But if we could fix them, don't we at least owe it to try?
I think, well, initially we want to look at making chronotons that would make them dependent on us. They would need us. But in the long term,
we can't? What if we can't?
produce
Then
chronotons.
we're frozen in time.
Well, then we can't do anything.
And they will go and they will decide that our civilization is worthless to them if we can't do it in our holographic ship. And they may just go and decide, I'm not so worried about interfering with all these other people anymore. There's no one in this galaxy to help me. I don't know. They're desperate.
looking at the physiology as it's
You
coming
have to remember, Mr. Tobon.
Desperate
They're
people.
Federation officers. This is essentially a call for help.
They've done this to billions of people.
Captain, I am inclined
And
to agree with our science officer.
I'm in mid-bay.
in. Look at the physiology.
I
Yes,
don't
do they have
trust them.
physiology?
And I don't believe them.
Do they have physiology?
Yes, they do. Again, I can't quite bother to make you a roll for this. They looking, it takes a minute.
If I was
Chronotons and that things. They
Give me
do seem to
options,
have.
Commander. Give me options.
They do seem to
We
have.
can't talk about two things at once when we're recording.
Yes,
You're
yeah.
gonna have to be quiet for a sec.
See what happens when he's not in charge?
They do have. They do have internal chronotons that they seem to use up, but it does seem to dictate their lifespan, but only in the same way that telomeres seem to define ours. They would live a good 100 years naturally without them, but they seem to preserve their life since they worked out how to do this for 1,500 years or so from the galactic's position. But most of them have lived 2,000 or 3,000. Simply because they can live at a faster speed of time, so they can. Everything else is slower. They can have more time. They can read more things. They can do more things. That does seem to use it up, but chronotons are a necessary part of them preserving their life that long. And they do seem to have a lot of interesting facilities because it's not something the Federation goes in for researching on. Is life extension.
Right.
And they have a lot of research on that kind of thing. But with the normal chronotons they're probably born with, they'd live what you would think would a fairly maybe not what you would think, but what most people would think a fairly normal lifespan.
Right. Friend to captain.
Captain here.
They're vampires rather than haemophiliacs, I'm afraid. They'd have a perfectly normal lifespan with the chromatons they're born with. They extend their lifespan by feeding on them from other sources. I mean, as life-extending technology goes, this is way in advance of anything the Federation's ever done, but also the Federation took a moral decision that was not a technology they were interested in anyway. And one which I agree with, though I appreciate I'm in a slightly hypocritical position on that one.
Interestingly, held by almost seemingly all of the civilizations.
Well,
Apart from
Except the
sonar.
Yes.
and Vulcans live quite long anyway, so... we're-
Hang on,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Life extending technology.
it's life-extending
You are
technology.
Parasitic. Oh,
I am not a parasite. I am a symbiote.
I'm a real boy.
And as a Cardassian, to extend my life, I just want a giant statue raised of me above a subject. No, sorry.
Some sort of hologram one that can talk to
Do we have a human crew member here that can just look at us in sort of mild
Please.
horror.
Please. She's human.
I'm just going to give a shrug.
Yes. Any follow-up questions?
How many individuals did they actually give me?
They gave you readings on probably about 1 million.
1 million of them.
And they do naturally seem to, not the tall one or the one with 4 legs, but the rest of them seem to roughly correspond to maybe a bit outside of the limits of
Yeah,
their.
I don't know what's with the four-legged thing or the owl-eyed.
But normal, yes, humanoid position.
Maybe they're images
things.
of their
Interestingly,
gods or deities or
as they exercise more, their internal organs actually get bigger, so they actually grow taller and wider.
They're physiologically interesting species, but they don't need chromatons to live. They need chromatons to live an abnormally long lifespan. And it's whether we consider that desire relevant or not.
Time vampires from the Shadow System.
Well, they're not from this.
Film 11.
That's the name of the episode.
It's called the Romob system.
The what?
It's our system. It's the Romob system.
Oh,
Romob.
Yeah, the Romob system,
okay.
named after the second protein. It's important in agriculture and in our development.
I assume that was the frog talking.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
indeed called.
Yeah. You're just chipping into the conversation.
Sorry, I forgot he was there.
Whatever, frog dude.
I'm still on the bridge.
Go where it comes. I quite like the frog dude. But anyway, I don't know what to say. Obviously, culturally speaking, they don't consider this an invalid request. We, culturally speaking, do. But whether that means that they have absolutely no intellectual point as a species or not, I am not qualified to.
Which
try and
brings me
say.
back to my first thing of we need to cure them of this condition.
They haven't got a condition. They're
They do.
born with a lifespan that long.
But they have an addiction to chronotons.
They have an addiction to chronos.
Yes, so we need to cure it.
Yes.
I'm guessing they're not really going to be up for that.
Just
I want to
talks
look
it very slowly. Why? No, having a really long lifespan isn't necessary. That'll do it.
There's lots you can do in 100 years.
300 years.
And they do more than that. They're messing about with time anyway.
I mean,
so
I'm
they're
a
doing all kinds
relatively
of
young
stuff.
symbiote. I think I'm only 900 or so.
Can I have a look at the...
No, 800.
But essentially, say, here's the thing that's going to fix all your chronotons here.
800.
Right,
800.
now you can't
Eight,
use any
one,
extra
one.
ones. Good luck.
And they go... "Doo."
But they won't be able to because they won't be able to use the chronotons to do it.
They'd use their last bit of
Yeah, I've got
chronotons.
about 50.
And it'll all be stuck in time together.
What do we do?
Your second host was in
Oh,
2311.
okay.
I'm going to read...
Has the potential to be on.
I'm
Yes.
going to read through... Have a glance.
Right.
Because I assume this will be months of study.
Mm-hmm.
Which is going to be fun sitting here. By the way, the shield, the protection on our ship is going to run out shortly.
Yes, we're heading out of this.
Well, no, in a few hours, but yeah.
In a few hours, but
Yes.
it's going to take me more than a few hours to generate chronotons.
Yes, which is why I told them we're heading to the edge of the system.
Maybe it
already.
won't, maybe it won't.
Are they happy to let us go? Are they coming with us?
Well, they're sort of
Yeah.
escorting you. They're following you out.
because
Stay
they're
close.
Okay,
right.
right.
holding
So I'm
another
gonna
one of our ships
I'm
hostage.
gonna open up
And an entire
generating
species,
chronotons
but-
for dummies.
Right.
By
So,
civilization.
what are you looking at? Are you looking to generate the chronotons?
First off, let's
Make a weapon.
First off, well, I asking the captain for a steer on that one. Do you want me to generate chronotons, or do you want me to make a weapon?
Weapon.
They will know what we're doing if I press. I can read through this stuff and I can do it in my head, but as soon as we start doing something, they'll know.
And they can freeze us without us being able to do currently very anything about it.
We should probably need the
Well-
surprise.
You
have been looking at a temple shielding. You think that you know.
Yes. You.
And
you,
looking at this data, actually, it looks like it takes the use of chronotons to go at faster speeds than others. Seems like it takes a little while to spool up.
use.
What's a little while?
A couple of minutes, maybe. But it will kind of increase over time.
Use work with Colgloff program.
Cogloss.
That's it.
Work with frog.
Director Cogloss. but
Do
yes.
we have any computers in storage that aren't on yet, and I could turn on without linking them to the main systems?
You could create one holographically.
Yeah, but
Yes,
that
but
might
that'll
be
be
the
part of the
network.
system.
Right.
There might be something down in the tube in the middle.
Down in the tube? I like that. That's
You
what
might
we
be able to-
call the ship. That's what we call the down in the tube.
You might be able to hide the stuff from them, but it will be complicated. Yeah, by making
Yeah.
lots of systems,
Yeah,
dummy
yeah.
things like typing a lot of data over the
Yeah.
top so they can't process. There's lots of ways, but
Sure. I'll
it won't
try
make doing the shit you're doing easier.
No. So looking at this stuff, does it basically look almost like a how-to guide? but there's a few steps missing, or is it like here's 50 documented?
There's lots of data, but it requires. It depends. You're like, this is a lot of data, but I can. You've got initial inklings that maybe I could try a few things they've not tried yet, and that might come up with something, but maybe it wouldn't. I'm not sure. I would have to spend like an hour or so making some sort of roll.
Okay, I will see what happens. I knew there was right. How many momentum do we have from?
Yes.
Probably 5 at this point because
I'm going to use one.
there's definitely been a number of scenes since.
Can I take 2 more for another die, please?
Remember, you have got determination to be able to spend that first.
Yeah, but that's like gone, isn't it?
Yes.
And I can use that for a 20.
That one, but yes.
Yeah.
You probably want a 20.
I'm not going to do that right now. That's for when I have to.
Okay.
Yes.
But yeah, you have to spend that before you spend momentum.
Is
But
the
yes,
computer helping?
yes. Is everyone else?
Yeah.
Is there any other?
You can do computer.
Yes.
I mean, they're morally interesting.
One of the other ones of you can help.
You say morally...
Zelvok's going to
Actually,
assist.
I think on this one I decided, because this is a fairly big role, I'd let all of you help if you want, in here in various ways.
Okay.
Can I use science and reason and con?
Can I roll all my
It's
dice for
computer?
helping?
So that's 14.
Or just one?
Sorry, con or con?
Pretty certain just.
Con is flying the ship. Probably
Oh,
not con.
sorry.
Is it just one?
Yes, because you're all helping. I'm pretty sure he's taking the lead on
Security?
science.
Temporal mechanics.
Sure.
Am I doing the computer and Kren?
You roll a 20.
It's going to
Hang on.
be difficulty 6, and
We get 1 re-roll on this.
it's going to be difficulty 6. It's because it's very hard.
Oh, blimey.
And there's going to be a complication range of 18 to 20
Whoa.
because most of the
Someone
complications.
suggests this was a plot.
Most of the complication range is going to be on them noticing
Yeah, sure.
what you're doing. But actually, you're not hiding this, are you?
This initial bit is just to like understand. Or are we building a weapon?
We're going to try and
Here's the
work
thing.
it out,
I said
aren't
I
we?
was getting to that. You and Coglos do the weapon. Okay? We're actually going to work on generating chronotons, and we're going to get everyone else to work on generating the chronotons, so that when they're scanning all our computer stuff, it seems that mostly we're trying to work on generating chronotons.
Well, that's different,
Okay.
that's different roles then.
That's
Obviously.
fine. Okay, fine.
So your weapon roll, that's more like difficulty 4, and obviously
Is the ship helping?
yeah, ship can helping, and someone can roll for Coglos.
Computers and science?
Okay, so I didn't roll the 20 then.
Yes,
Okay,
indeed.
because you're rolling for Coglos.
And the weapon has got the 18. It's still got the 18 to 20 complication range because there's
What's
no
Coglos?
He's probably got a reason of 12, but his science is probably more like 3 because they were not expert. But he does have a foci in this area.
The ship is not helping. Somebody kicked the cat.
Wait.
Ooh, is that 1?
No, it's 14.
That's a pass, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. Just.
You failed. I've got 2, 4, 5, 6. So we're okay.
Okay.
Cool.
6 successes.
Yes.
Yes,
this is
for the other
what I do.
Okay.
I've got 1 to 17 as a pass, 18 to 20 is a critical, a critical fail. So it was a 4. So we get 2 momentum.
Yep.
And 1 for obtain information. But
Indeed.
You give that information.
will the weapon work?
I was going to say, obtain information. I'd like to know
have they detected
everything
my
about
activity?
anti-chronotons.
Did you roll any 18s or 19s
No.
or 20s?
No.
Anyone?
No, even the ship only rolled
No.
16.
Right, then no, they have not.
Cool.
So yes, no, you're pretty sure that you've got this past with all of this stuff they're doing.
Yep.
You've developed
Inverted tachyon pulse coupled with anti-chronotons.
yes.
Because there's got to be something that comes out of deflector, hasn't
Yeah,
it?
but
I don't know, you charge the shields and go...
Could do.
but yeah, it is also a high risk weapon. It is dangerous,
Does anyone else want any tea?
No, thank
No,
you.
thank you.
and you could spend the one. If you, I won't say that's really any of the obtained information, really, but I will give you one the obtained information for free.
No, well, I've got a free one, so...
You reckon you could have put this on some sort of torpedo, but you remember now that when you flashed forward that there was someone saying torpedoes were rather ineffective on them, and from your scans,
Yes.
their sort of Chronoton shield field thing you think might be very good at resisting any kind of torpedo, so that might not be the best way of doing
Okay.
it.
So, I mean, Zelvok doesn't know what he's talking about then, does he?
No, as I recall, I said don't use torpedoes.
But yeah, this will be like a big deflector one shot kind of thing.
All the lights go off.
Burn out if we have to.
Boom.
So does that mean you're doing it?
Right,
You're
so
leading me?
I'm leading
The
Chronoton Discovery.
the captain's chair has got a large holographic red button. Now, on it under a flap. Under a flap.
Under a stealth flap.
No, like a.
That says, make friends with the Ethians.
No. It's a stealth flap that you can only see from where the captain sits, and you flap it open, and then a big button appears.
Okay. Right, so Captain's taking lead. This will be difficulty 6.
And Kren help.
Oh.
This, however, will have normal complication range.
Davok will help.
And I'll do the ship.
Yeah.
Right.
If we're on computers and science for the ship, you're on 14.
14. And what's the science? What's the discipline? Because the ship can roll a
I'm
double.
going to use momentum for another die roll.
Do I still
Good idea.
Well,
Use-
it's only
use
one.
another-
It's only one momentum for one die roll.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
another 2 for the one after that. But yeah,
Can I blag security on this one?
no.
Science.
Get another one. You need
I was
it.
going to say the rest of us on
you
science
can't.
and reason.
You can't.
Probably. I'll be willing to
That's
hear
true.
other things.
You
I
can't
think
mess this
science
one
and
up.
reason.
Well, if I mess this one up, I mean I just don't know how to create Chroniton.
That's true. And you just go on the big red button.
Like, damn it!
I passed.
I passed.
What am I rolling on?
I passed.
Engineering and
Probably reason and engineering or reason and science. I'd accept either.
I passed on my science, which I think is.
It's not control and engineering.
that's like
I know, right?
Because
So you did
So, but
listen
my-
in school when you're at...
you were listening
My
to me.
reason is
after.
actually my reason's actually quite good, but
10.
yeah.
Because you're
quite
quite good.
Well, for a Vulcan,
It's all
for a
right.
Vulcan, it's
No,
terrible,
no,
but
but-
for a normal person, it's good.
I don't
not as
really
good as
have
mine.
any focuses on this.
Right.
Well, reverse engineering.
No, I'd accept first
Yeah,
engineering.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm
You're
not
like-
taking all of their stuff and yeah, no,
Cobbling it all
absolutely.
together.
Yeah.
Yay!
Is that like 3
That sounded like a really scared yeah. Like there were 2 20s and 2 1s.
That's 6.
Oh, you divided. Yeah, wicked.
7, 8. And more of the ship help. 9.
I helped as well.
10.
No, I'm including him.
Oh, okay. So,
7, 8, 9.
9.
okay, 9. 9 6. You got more back.
Indeed. Okay, you're like, right,
We
yes.
can rule the galaxy.
So, they forgot to carry the 3.
It's always a 3.
And you disagree with this wrong, but
Oh, no. They forgot to carry the 47.
so how do you create chronotons?
Press this button here.
Yes, but theoretically, what are the different ways of solving it? Because there's the whole. Because if you create them with antichronotons, something flies out. There's some sort of way that might involve something to do with the wormhole.
When
to do
a
with the
quantum
puppets.
particle moves out of phase with reality, when it moves back into our reality, you're causing an energy around it, which, wherever it comes back from, has a chronoton field around it, and then you're pulling that energy in and kind of absorbing it into a container or something.
I was just going to use a singularity, but okay.
You look at the singularity for a while, for like half an hour, and it looks plausible, but you can never really, in simulations, they've tried it a lot as well themselves, and it never works without falling apart, because eventually, because you're taking chronotons from the outside and pushing them into the inside,
Yeah.
the singularity is out of phase with itself, and that's very bad.
Yes.
because
You get shear. You get the.
yeah, you get sort of shear at a point source, and that doesn't. It causes a very weird sort of subspace thing that. A big subspace horrible explosion, and it never really is stable on a large scale. But then you suggest using what's the word?
Quantum
Quantum
phasing?
particles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Virtual particles, but virtual real particles to basically taunt chronotons in from a sort of virtual field.
Come on. Chronotons, come
Which
on.
means that the antichronotons never really properly appear within this, this space-time continuum. So whatever they do separately. There's still lots of unknowns in here. Yes?
Yeah.
And then they've got to be held
It's a
in some
theory.
kind of.
It's a theory
Right,
stage.
we've
isn't
got
it?
a theory. Let's create some sort of perfectly safe simulation on the holodeck.
With Moriarty.
But they obviously do know this all as you do.
Yeah. So, do they say anything when we come up with our theory and we have our eureka moment?
They're going to take it.
I assume they've already got it.
Well, we don't know if it's going to work.
But they're like, well, they don't say anything, but they sit there. They watch you as you go through your simulations. You've made your weapon.
Captain.
What do you do?
Could I see you on the bridge?
I feel I should probably mention that Coglas does have a clear point of view that you should just attack them.
Yes. We took that as read. Yeah.
I feel I should just,
We're just trying to do it slightly more subtly than
Well, here's the thing,
giant
I-
anti-Chroniton thing on my planet.
If we'd had a better solution.
See, I want one of these working so that when they try and harvest our Chronitons, we have a way to replenish them.
They're going to be building one while we're talking. And they're going to fuck us up.
Because they've got a holographic ship like we do. They can just make it.
We'll do it then.
Do it then.
What?
You making the simulation?
Make
Or?
it.
Yes.
Are you down in engineering?
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to beam to engineering.
I mean, you can see me on the bridge. Hologram. I get to being in my
Creating
in which case, I'm going to create a holographic large red button on the wall in engineering.
Okay. And then you're going to actually go down to engineering, or you're going to holopresence there?
I'll holo presence there.
It's fine.
Oh no, because if they're watching our ship and they're seeing holographic
And then I'm on.
It's fine. I created the hollow
What are
presence
these
for my wife.
monkeys
She
doing?
never knew I was gone.
Is that why you had to beam in tonight? Is that what you were doing?
He's been meditating for 6 years. He's very committed.
He's so focused. He's like the best Vulcan. I'm so proud of him.
He's just got the little sort of neural connection to the computer, so he knows what his hologram's up to.
Yeah.
So when asked, he can give the right answer.
As
We're missing a trick,
As
yeah.
we are concerned
I'm going to
about-
point at the giant red button on the wall.
As we are concerned
Captain.
about data security, should we maybe be in person talking as well at some time?
Yeah, I'm gonna beam down
GDPR
there.
and all
I'm gonna beam down there, and I'm gonna say to the Captain, developed a weapon. I believe this will. I believe this will destroy them. How are your efforts going?
Well, we have a theory. We need a simulation to test it, so we're just constructing the simulation now.
I should point out, Krem would be very excited to show you the bit the Vulcan did. Because she doesn't think you'll believe me.
I bring up security lights. I'm going through the video.
I'm a Starfleet officer. I know many things.
Yes, this one and this one.
But no, it's almost as if
You
have
realise they've got that information now,
Yes.
Yes.
so
Well,
we better do it damn quick.
well, this is what they were asking us to do.
They want us to do it, so they can
Are you
get the information
The
and
option to one of the deals?
create it now. Ship,
Yes.
ship, computer,
Run
create-
simulation.
not simulation.
Oh yeah, run.
Run program.
Okay.
Run program. Chroniton 1.
Right, run it. I assume you're doing it to actually create actual chronotons and then probably channel them in some sort of storage device, which there are many plans of, so it looks a bit, I imagine, like I say, like the headbands and stuff, it's a bit sort of cheesy 80s kind of.
Yeah. It's a bit glam about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Some sort of thermos flask that glows blue.
Like one of those.
No, it's much more glam than that. It's going to have to be some sort of big crystal-shaped thing.
Oh
lots of, like, energy lines across
absolutely.
it.
With some
Probably like,
wires just like attached to it.
probably like a big one of like
Giant dilithium crystal.
There's
Yeah.
a big crystal and there's lots of little bits of sparkly thing floating around.
Yeah.
A tiny person trying to grab them.
Like it goes-
Hang on.
It might be.
pointed.
Apparently they like.
and it's a bit
this.
more, pink, so it's a bit more, like it fell out of She-Ra kind of thing. Yes.
Cool. She-Ra.
But yeah, no, they're appearing.
Cool. Can we
So-
scan their ship to see if they're generating chronotons?
Yeah, sure, have a go. Since we're not that rushed for time right now, so yeah, you can have it. Let's make it a roll.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
sure.
ship helping.
Yeah, so we'll give it a difficulty 4 because they're not easy to scan.
Can I have a momentum, please, Captain?
Is
Yeah,
the ship,
nice.
is the ship doing it on sensors and what? Science?
Yes. Sure.
The ship rolled a 1. The cat loves you.
I
today.
got 3 successes.
So you're 1 over, so you can get momentum back. And you've got the obtain information thing as well, obviously.
Yes. Are they?
Yes.
Yes. And are they doing it quicker than we are?
Yes, they've got like
20 of them going or something.
They have more chronotons than you. If you want to spend more on information, I can give you more detailed information. But
I like a
Can
very
I have
detailed-
included some sort of terrible flaw in my design?
Not late now.
not without having told me earlier.
Oh,
like the Death Star? Yeah.
It's like, all I got to do, right, send a transmission on this frequency and the whole thing goes...
Come them, give them a chance to honour the deal.
Right, they've created like a ton of them. Slight variations, a lot of them, and they are sending information out. They were sending information. As soon as it was scanned, it was being sent out.
Somewhere else.
Like a ton of places out. Like a subspace in communications galaxy, like wide to like 50 different locations.
All the ones that are
To
still,
the other time vampires.
that are all...
Who's flying the ship right now?
These, probably.
Please bring us to course 122.4.
Aye, sir.
The time vampires are waking up.
And I'm going to walk over to the wall and push the big red button on the wall. Captain.
I was just about to
I'm not going to do it. I'm not
hail them.
Captain.
Let him hail them.
I'm not going to. I walk over to push it, but I'm not pushing it. I'm walking over
Let
and
me
I'm like,
help.
they're doing it. Look at this. Look at this.
Yes, let me hail them first.
All right.
They didn't say
Yeah,
anything.
good job.
Pencilwright to...
It's the same. It's an Oros, the
Oros.
same woman that was on before.
Just sorry to interrupt. While he's talking to them, getting the ship to like move loads of the crew to like the back of the ship and to be ready to like escape pods, but also to set up like 20 holographic versions of the Chroniton generator. So it's not just one thing, and they're going. We're going. You know. So arms race.
Right, yeah, good work.
We appear to have a functioning model.
I'm surprised you didn't use name Tovon, but
Well, he had input.
I'm surprised it wasn't him that came up with it. Really, he didn't seem to be that involved.
No, our Vulcan was very... after you said you were willing to leave the Prophets, the Vulcan was... Commander Zelvok was very adamant that he assist you to keep your word.
Yeah. Yep. So good work. We'll be in touch. Where would be the best place to have our first proper sort of negotiations? Unless you want to start doing it now, form an embassy. I mean, we don't really have people that sit down, but we could probably persuade a few people now that are all waking up.
Well, I need to get back to the Federation Council with this and inform them of the situation.
Are you not going to free the Attenborough? Well, we'd do, except I think you might take that as a bit of a hostile action.
Free the Attenborough.
Well, yeah.
Well, we've got Chronotons now. We can do it.
Yeah. Infuse them with Chronotons. I mean, we've had a bit more practice. We're, probably slightly less likely to mess it up. But like I say, we don't do it with your
What about the
permission.
frog people?
We could do the whole system if you want, but it can be a while.
Well, yes. I mean, if you were able to transmit the data on your methods, certainly be willing to learn.
Well, you've got all the data on the methods. It's hidden amongst all of that kind of stuff. But there's always a bit of finessing and reality.
Right. Well, yes, we need to get back to the Federation before anything else. So,
Well, we need to get to the Attenborough.
we'll rescue the Attenborough. Yes.
So you're going to rescue the Attenborough then, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Just to hand over the button.
I'm standing right next to this.
Do you want us to do the whole... Are we going to do the Simians, or are you going to do the Simians? Because, I mean, there's a bunch of them. And you've got the one on board. And I don't think you still come aboard here, but...
Let them do the planets.
Yeah, we can do that.
Do you want us to do all of the Simian the systems?
Yes, please.
All right. You see sort of a slightly different, in the subspace thing they're bringing out, like a slightly bit different information. And you're like, oh, right, yeah, no, a lot of those are going in the direction of where the Simian systems should be.
Okay.
Where they said that they were frozen in time.
Yes.
No, but not just the Zimians, the time vampires.
Indeed, probably. And way better to hide it than a sort of system bunch of other life forms and things that if somebody you just rolled down across it, it'd be a bit, why is that weird different lots of that? Who knows what's going on? Anyway, all right. Well, like I say, it'll take probably about a day to safely reinfuse the whole system. We've done it a couple of times, but this will be fairly new, and Canthos is going to be happy to have a.
Then we can do first contact between our species, the more conventional manner.
All right. How would you like to do that? We don't really have a set place.
Who's talking at the moment?
Still Inoris, the woman in the suit, the captain, the negotiator. I don't think she introduced herself like that earlier, but.
It was a future they joined the Federation.
But yeah,
Yeah, which they then said.
we'll claim these couple of systems. There's nothing on them. There's no livable.
betrayal and basically
Well,
blew us
one's
up.
got a livable colony in it, and one's not. But one's in the Delta Quadrant, the other one's just sort of in unspecified space. We'll claim those if that's all right. They're not inside the Federation by any extent, but
Okay.
we want a couple of systems
Yes, we will send.
just in case.
We'll send a ship, probably be us, to.
And obviously, if this goes wrong, then. Well, let's hope it doesn't, eh? But yeah, so where would you like to meet then?
Well, that system that you're going to be claiming.
Well, that's just outside the Federation. But if you want to head there, yeah. And there's one in the Delta Squadron which you can't easily get to.
No.
But well, until you start using these things properly, then you can get there in the blink of an eye.
Oh, I slipped!
I'm not watching them. You do whatever you want to do. I'm not watching
Okay,
you.
so within that, we heard that conversation.
Yeah.
So within that, he said they're still going to keep the Zimians.
No.
No,
We're
he
going
said
to
they're
keep a couple
gonna
of systems that
Oh, a couple of systems, right?
have
sorry.
nobody in it.
Yeah, that's all right.
Former
That's all right.
Simeon systems.
But he does like casually threaten us with complete extermination, like at the end of every sentence.
So the Romulans still not that
I was
long
going to
ago.
say, this is, it's not that unusual.
Hey,
Some
I know. I'm a Cardassian.
We found an extraordinary technologically advanced and potentially.
This is why I don't trust him.
Casual threats is very much it's very much in the negotiator's handbook for the Federation, and they'll not threaten you, but
A lot. And repeatedly.
but try to overlook that.
They just can't
Phases at 25% to begin with.
All right.
So it's either the greatest diplomatic.
So where would you like to meet? I mean,
Cardassian Accords, or
For a little while, we could probably still turn up in the middle of your the session of the council, but
maybe not.
I suspect you wouldn't appreciate that.
No. Well, given how unknown this space is here currently, once it's back in there.
Oh, we're not going to be here once it starts going again because they'll attack us.
Yeah.
And we could probably kill them all, but that's not a good way of probably under your protectorate for now. We'll assume.
Let's assume that we need to make first contact with them as well.
Well, you've got one of them. I'm sure you can explain to the rest, but you'll be going with you, I assume. So, unless you trust us for you to stick him back in the system, and then we'll provide with the rest of people.
Where's the nearest?
Vulcan.
If you want to leave a communication
go to
board.
Vulcan.
But yeah, we're gonna get this going, and then we're gonna leave because otherwise,
I mean, another timeline has been destroyed.
Well, not like anything could destroy Vulcan.
some sort of weird time thing.
Time always does have a way of sorting
I was going to
itself
say,
out.
hang on, has the
The Viac timeline.
Well, we are currently not in the timeline where they annihilated the Federation, otherwise we wouldn't be here.
Well, that was again. They took
He
15
just
years.
that was our future.
5 years.
But he just
that's
referenced the
possible.
fact he's aware of those possible futures.
No, he didn't. He just threatened you.
He just said, we could still appear in the middle of your council.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they still could use their
Well,
Chroniton.
you could interpret it that way, or you could interpret
That's how I
it.
interpreted it.
They could use their Chroniton shifty super speed and just go,
Yeah.
bye.
Cardassians, not that Cardassians are paranoid. So.
I am always watching, constantly watching, and a student of war. And a Cardassian, look at my face.
Excellent. So you're going to plot all their plans that they're going to come up against us with all this technology.
They're time people.
I know, so you're going to negate that with your student of war. And you're always watching, so you'll see it coming.
I agree with the Cardassian.
The Bajorans are going to go absolutely spare.
We won't tell them.
They're going to.
These things have a way of coming out.
I don't know, ancient sort of weird
called freedom of speech.
demons or the Kardashians. I still think they probably hate Kardashians more.
It's true.
That is
Even
why
the Bajorans are spiritual people.
How
that
do
care
we
about
know?
clear and present recent
How do we
advantage.
know that? Is the Ithian still on communicator?
Yeah.
And we have your assurance that everyone of your culture will follow this agreement that
Yeah.
you've just made
We're
with
sending
us,
out, yeah.
even though they've been out of time.
Yeah.
You have no disparate factions, no.
they're going to suddenly decide.
Oh
what to
no,
do,
well we did, yeah. We had to freeze them all in time, but they were the ones that didn't want us to freeze all the Zimian. That's actually if you look around,
I'm not disagreeing.
he doesn't speak much. Here, Pelion points sort of down round to the one that's got a very beautiful sort of robe dress that's sort of rainbow and flashing out. That, if you remember, there was the one,
The peace-looking guy.
the side that was
lovely,
signing
yeah.
the into as part of the Federation. Now he was head of a faction that didn't want to freeze all the Zimian and was going to give them a bit more of a chance and unfreeze the system and try and negotiate. But we didn't think that was sensible. Gives the wrong impression.
I think I like him.
We'll probably unfreeze him now, though, because we're unfreezing all the Zimian and see if we can talk to them. So I think the worst that's going to happen is you're going to have
Unfreeze
a much more-
him.
Yeah, and all of his group, yeah.
Okay.
Well, because I mean, the thing that we disagreed on was freezing the Zimian, and I'm doing
They're
that.
unfreezing the Zimians, so
So
they're going to
yeah, we can unfreeze them and talk
Can we
again.
talk to him then?
Oh no, he's not here. Oh, well, not really. It's not his... Well, all right. It goes round and goes, well... All right, well, I'm sorry, actually. What would you like to talk about? Your holograms are very interesting in various different ways, but in a bit primitive in some ways, but quite interesting. We started...
It's more of a stylistic choice.
But we started with light holograms, like, very early on, and infused those with Chronitons, and that's how we started. That's what I invented. That's why we could even do all the things we can do. That was our first way that we even acted. And looking through it, oh yeah, I did see that in all the days when I was feverishly looking through stuff. Yeah. You've gone for a very traditional view of your ship, though. I mean, it looks like all of the other ships, and like, I hope you show a bit more artistry in the future than just your basic look.
Well...
It's not animated, it's
like
stationary.
We do so on a day-by-day basis on the interior.
But it still looks a bit like, it's made of metal and stuff on the outside. But I guess you're new to it, so...
Well, we are one of the...
Some of the art, I think that when my true self, my exemplar, sorry, Keith, I couldn't think of a better word. My exemplar is unharvested, back to quantum time.
So sorry, there's a real you.
Yes.
There's the 8 of you.
Yes.
There's a real version of you somewhere.
Yes. But we're like, the ones that we're talking to you now is all the same, I guess you would think person underneath, but it's very much us taking on roles or uniforms.
Sure.
The way that you colour your uniforms.
How many of you
So it might actually be another person talking to you on here, but it's kind of hard to explain. We think of this as another person talking to you. When we get to know each other very well, then maybe we take off our uniforms, but it takes a while as it does for you for that.
How many of you are you on that ship?
But you'll have got this from scans. It's probably about 1,000.
But there'd only be one of you talking to us in each of these guises, rather than different people
essentially,
using
each of the statues is probably like equivalent of a bridge officer.
Maybe. We don't really
but
differentiate
one
like
person
that.
can rotate between them.
Yeah, sometimes
it's a shifting... It's like taking on a different outlook, a different perspective.
The way that you're occasionally interrupted by your first officer and given advice, we just have another person take over, probably. It probably seems quite complicated for you, but they're sort of the roles. There are departments, but we're much more flexible on them. Most persons have a certain department that they'll stay in most of the time, and there's definitely a captain.
What's the four-legged one?
Oh, you mean Thrissos? The quick and the clever. Some of them aren't based on real exemplars. They're more sort of gods or things or legends. He's movement, running away. He's outwitting people by...
Bestial cunning?
Yes, that kind of thing.
Interesting.
This is...
Well, this seems like a first contact type of thing.
You seem to disagree with the other 7 on the Zimians.
I did, yes. And to a certain extent I also do. Well, I don't, but my exemplar
The
did.
original you.
Yes.
Did.
I'm not the opinions of my exemplar. I'm the person that deals with all of your...
Sure.
With art, the holograms, the beauty, and the truth in the beauty.
Yes, their exemplars are obviously their leaders.
Of course.
Back
Yeah.
where they come from.
Yeah.
And
They just take those guises on. They
Yes,
think
and
like
we
them.
can eventually speak to them through first contact series.
So it will go back round to
And
the...
those, yeah.
That was a bit odd. So that was a bit odd, talking out of person, as it were, a bit. Normally, this is the person that talks to other people.
Sure.
I mean, because
Sure.
I'm the captain and negotiator.
Sure.
Yeah.
Occasionally, a bit of expertise is when we're sharing.
Or
So we
needed
will
grumpiness.
we will leave a communications boy here
Authorities sometimes need
transmit to your system outside of Federation space.
All right.
I imagine it will be maybe 2 weeks or so before we can come to some sort of...
Sure. All the Zimians will be sort of out by then, so you might want to, move
Yes.
some communication boys, that kind of
Yes,
thing, talk to
we'll
them.
have...
They don't have subspace, so they don't really talk very quickly to one another. Not properly, anyway. It's not instantaneous. It takes a while. So it takes like a few hours to transmit between those star systems. So, they'll all be coming out on a war footing, I think. So you might want to be careful on that one.
Yes, we will have ships...
They might think of you as Zimians to begin with, Ithians to begin with, because you don't really look like them or work like them.
We will speak with Kogloff and dispatch ships just to be like, hi, don't shoot us.
Yeah, I can give you I could send over the current coordinates and stuff, so you probably related them quite well by now, I would have thought. Alright, well, we'll get on then.
Safe journey. End transmission.
Well, they'll just go sort of still.
Is the woman with the ears and the eyes still earring and eyes?
No, the ship will sort of turn around and sort of be.
Doesn't mean she's not.
It looks like it's just sort of standing there in space for a minute, actually. But High Conthos seems to have taken the first position and seems to be looking deeply into his oil thing.
Okay.
And it looks like the image. It's only kind of, and he's turning it occasionally. And the turning seems to be speeding up. Well, if you look at it for a minute, or
they're about to do their time travel thing.
Well, I imagine they're probably about to go and unfreeze the Zimian system.
Maybe they're not pointing at us, are they?
No.
It's all right. Just keep scanning, and we'll just.
I'm scanning, Captain. I'm following your orders.
We'll just try and trundle off towards the Attenborough.
I would like to log in the ship's official record that I think this is a mistake.
I will be doing the same thing.
The cover back on the button without pressing it.
The Athenian ship suddenly disappears. Your scans, you get a few clicks. You've managed to get high resolution scans, but basically it seems to be circling the system at a very high speed, like in a different time period, basically slowly bombarding various places throughout it.
Okay, right. Okay, near instantaneous bombarding around the whole system. Okay,
it looks a bit more complicated because you've got to work out chronotons and time things.
What you need to do now is figure out how that weapon can be mass produced. Vessels across the Federation.
I know how to do that.
Right.
Copy paste.
Yeah, no, but they won't all be holographic ships, will they? So you'll have to build them.
Fine, I'm sure we can build holographic.
Yeah. Right. So we will need a roll for unfreezing the Attenborough.
That sounds like science.
Let's rock that science.
Evenly feeding the chronotons so they're not temporarily outshift and broken in half.
Absolutely. At all. I'm sure my temporal mechanics will come in handy.
Daddy, glad you chose that photo a while ago. I didn't like the fact the whole middle mission it didn't come up at all.
Yeah.
I was like, you just got it, and I was like, it's not going to come up for a while, but it will come up later. Let's see if he hangs on.
Diplomacy.
Exactly.
This ship puts me in mind of something from. Do you remember that cartoon, Ulysses?
Oh yeah.
This is definitely
I did go for it might be a bit too obvious, but a vaguely ancient Greek feel to some of their stuff.
Oh yeah.
The names,
but it's also got a Rama and Voyage Home, and all that. It's good. It's very Star Trek.
A little bit of a Babylon. I'm no expert.
Edo,
a bit of a
the
Babylon
Edo
5
Guardian.
filter, maybe. No.
They do
Bit of
look
what?
a bit
Babylon 5 filter.
They look a bit Babylon.
I hated it, so I don't know.
Get out.
No,
Adam doesn't like Babylon 5.
I've never watched Babylon 5.
As they say in space.
Don't like 40k.
As they say in space. Babylon 5 is a big pile of shite.
Get
out of my shop.
Anyway,
skips anyway.
So I would say difficulty.
Babylon 5
3
is a very enjoyable show, apart from season 5.
Adam doesn't.
Babylon 5's all terrible.
It's quite good.
They can barely act. It's horrible.
The problem is they had like a few good actors and a lot of really bad actors, and a lot of the sets also looked like MDF that was going to fall over at any point.
It didn't bother me, but
I enjoyed the
which
film.
is okay, but yeah. Anyway, cool. Anyway. we're about to get flamed by all the Babylon 5 fans. I actually enjoy Babylon 5. Don't get me wrong.
I don't care. It's terrible.
But Deep Space Nine is better. Anyway.
Yeah, even I would.
Well, that was one of the reasons I really hated Babylon 5 because it did steal the idea from Deep Space Nine.
Blatantly.
And let's face it, if you're here watching this show, you also think that Deep Space Nine is better.
But I would recommend watching it because a lot of people do like it.
But I like Babylon
I hate it, but I
5.
could see how people could enjoy it.
Yes.
Even the Jedi that just have sticks.
What do you mean? Anyway.
Oh my god! So
let's carry on.
Difficulty 3. Actually, I would say 4. It is still quite high. I'm gonna take. Actually, no. I'll say difficulty 3, but complication range of 18 to 20. Because if it goes, it's not that hard to do, but if it goes wrong, it goes wrong.
I'll tell you what.
What's the ship helping with?
Oh, hang on. I'm gonna get. Shall I do a determination? This is.
We don't want to mess this up.
I need to do something, don't I?
It has to be attached to a value or a directive, which is not hard.
And her crew.
What's the ship helping?
I don't know.
That's a 20.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's an extra one, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's not one of my dice.
We haven't broken the. Oh no, they've got warp speed.
That's a 20.
One.
Sorry, not a 1. Yeah, sorry.
So confusing. Probably it could be computers for simulating the stuff. Could be other things. Could be sensors for sending all of the beam out stuff.
We'll be alright.
Probably the science.
If you give me a momentum, then
I think they're both 3, so it doesn't matter.
The ship helped.
Boom. I got.
Do you need the help from the captain?
2, 4, 5. I got 6 over here.
Okay.
And no 18s or 19s or 20s for anyone.
No.
No.
Probably the main thing.
Because I cover 1 to 17.
It's supposed to succeed and get a complication, I think, from the same roll.
Yeah.
I'll get that back. Then.
But I only went 18 to 20 because that's the normal recommended range of things going on.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And I decide, I put chronotons in. I don't use the weapon. I remember there's a big green button and a big red button.
Just
It's so Zelvot can use it.
Well, what about if
shit has happened quite
your
a few
species
times
sees in different colours?
in Starfleet?
Yes.
Is there now a protocol for dealing with Starfleet officers who have been effectively
There's got to be.
even if not temporarily displaced, but displaced from Federation
Indeed.
contact?
People held in transported patterns in sort of
There
weird
must
stasis.
be-
Sleeper ships.
There must be a
cryostasis,
protocol.
all that stuff.
Thrown by time by Q for funsies. Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. This is a Starfleet ship. It's a Starfleet crew. You can just go, "Hi, Enterprise G here. Guess what the date is?"
But you could probably be trained on
Yes,
that.
but it says very
Figure it
specifically
out.
in the protocol not to do that, sir.
I really wonder what
And
Temporal
I'm the
Affairs are going to
psychi-
think of all this chronoton technology.
And I am
Yeah.
a psychiatrist.
But
so
yes, I was going to say, I assume you are the ship lead on temporal psychological affairs.
presume I'm the ship lead
It's
on
fine.
most
We just
psychological
go.
affairs.
Hi,
That's
we're
what
also a
wants to
Federation starship.
Make a support personnel.
Strange,
Cancel.
unusual design. Beam across.
Is Admiral Janeway
What's
still in
doing
charge?
which? What?
Probably not in charge, no.
No, but she's an admiral.
Probably, yeah.
That's fine. Then we've got someone
Did
on
you
our
say,
side.
we supposed to be doing something? Did you say do something? We're not doing something. We're just...
Well, you're probably the lead on that.
All right,
kind of
all
thing.
right,
But they will slowly start moving in time. That's the weird thing. So that you'll have to kind of transmit a sort of very basic message to kind of... Well, it takes them like probably about 20 minutes to slowly bring them out sort of evenly. Because it's not... You can probably speed it up with momentum
Are
if
they,
you like. But...
are they in the middle of firing at things as well?
They thought...
No, they're about to.
Yeah.
They're about
They
to.
shoot at us
Don't
by accident.
stand where... I mean, I know they wouldn't make a dent in us now necessarily.
We're
but
not going to be
let's
sitting in
Well,
front
no,
of
it's
this.
fine. It's fine. It's a Starfleet ship from 25 years ago. We've got the codes. We can just go boop, 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 boop.
Yeah.
No firing weapons.
Yeah, you can turn off because, again, they're sort of at
The
time.
captain's Kelsey Grammer.
If you like.
That'd be cool.
No.
So the poor guy got stuck in time twice.
He then got another ship, and he was the captain. He got another ship, and then he got stuck in time again for another 25 years.
Wow, what an unfortunate Starfleet career that was.
Yeah. But he's seen great advancements in technology.
And a
hasn't he?
long career.
Yeah.
you know,
I always thought
Practically
that
for
guy
years.
and that crew and that ship would make a fascinating story.
That would.
about their
Yeah, that would.
reintegration into
Yeah.
like next gen.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you could
Because
have
that's the
done
episode. That's the episode with 3 in it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where it's the pips on his neck.
We should defrost them with the standard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Protocol.
They're
I'm
right.
doing a nice peppering
Captain
of chronotons.
Hakoi here. Who's another Andorian, I believe.
Yes.
What's...
Captain.
Where's that strange ship that...
That strange ship is not currently here.
We were... Right. We've been
Yes,
stuck in time, haven't we?
you have.
How long?
Yes, it's
so good, ship. No, that's brilliant.
They came to a system that was frozen in time.
I wasn't laughing at you saying it. I was laughing. That's so good because
Yeah. I can imagine a Starfleet
shit.
captain.
There's
doing
like
that now.
there's these like turn to the back of the book. If you're frozen in time.
It's that moment. Oh,
What to do in the moment when you're frozen?
Tell him.
25 years.
Well... Okay. Are we in a red alert situation, Captain?
No.
Do we need it to...
No. That ship.
I'm going to appear behind him.
Oh,
Don't do that!
In a Starfleet uniform.
there's him trying to come
Walking around going. I'm just
Like
going
a
to walk
teddy face.
past him a couple of times in the back of shot.
Probably a bit of a double take, but this was around, I think, just after the war. I think,
Yeah.
Yeah.
from when the ship was commissioned and then disappeared, so they would have known that the
There is an
Cardassians were...
Ultimate Timeline episode where there is a Cardassian on
There is.
Pros, yeah.
There is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he wears a red uniform, otherwise I would have stolen his image for my character.
You not Photoshop the colour.
I could have done, but I couldn't be bothered.
Yeah. Right, well... I need to get a sister situation report and explain to my crew what's going on, and then I guess we'll go back to Starfleet headquarters.
Yes, if you want to beam over, I can debrief you on the situation. Captain.
Well, let me just let my crew
Do you have any
know
medical
what's going.
needs?
He sort of looked behind
stress.
for damage reports, and
Give any-
we mostly seem to be fine, sir. And
No energy
I
problems.
think we're fine.
Okay.
No, well, we seem to have some systems turned off and things, but I assume that was part of whatever you've done. Our shields are down, but again, we're in a safe situation. Well, let me just explain to the crew slowly what's happened, and then I'll come over and we can talk about it.
Captain, would you like me to raise Starfleet Command on subspace for you?
Yeah.
In your ready room, maybe, where the rest of us don't have to deal with it.
Yes, please. I now have to deal with all this.
Yes. So,
Replicator, some sort of coffee with
Dorian
whiskey.
Yeah, don't put Andorian ale in coffee.
No.
Just
It just the foam froths up and sort of hardens.
that volcanic thing.
Nasty.
The crazy milkshake things you get for kids these days, that's probably a thing that it all freezes up and hardens. It's almost definitely a thing that
And
happens.
then you eat it with a spoon.
Yeah, quite probably. Andorian ale float.
Ew.
so what spin are you putting on this when you're getting it back to command?
A bit of a curveball.
Yeah, I won't go through the whole conversation, but yeah, just sort of what if
So we found the USS Attenborough in a frozen system. We found a bunch of other frozen systems, and we found this highly advanced technology race that
Froze the system.
froze the system, and they run on chronotons. So we helped them produce a load of chronotons. Now they unfroze all the systems. We've got like 2 first contact situations going on with a warp civilization that was frozen by them for the last 1500 years, and them who are very powerful and veiled threats, first contact, that kind of stuff.
Released
here's
a
all the data.
race of time vampires.
are you presenting any obvious concerns?
Yes, that. It's like the oh yes, they do have the ability to simultaneously freeze like 100 star systems.
And mentioned trying to destroy the prophets several times.
Maybe
Yeah,
no
we should
colour-
be mentioning our time jumps as well. And
Oh yeah, we totally not breached the temporal prime directive at all. Here's what we saw in the future.
The temple-
Deliberately. You did deliberately.
That's because the
So who did that to us?
They did. That was an accident.
Yeah.
The time jumps was an accident.
Right. Okay.
So you would give this report. You debrief this crew. They're a bit confused. They're a bit unhappy, but they were like a deep space science type crew. So obviously there's a lot of counselling and stuff that goes on. But they were a little prepared for encountering weird shit and dying, or other weird stuff happening. So
I assume I have a busy
yeah,
for a while.
because the whatever class it was for name's gone.
No, it's fine. The 25-year-old ensign, she's now 50. She looks great.
I'm going to start researching.
Unfortunately, the nearly retired 60-something-year-old engineering officer's wife's
There's a way
dead.
you can create some sort of planetary shield
No.
generator. that
I'm
will
going to
protect some
research
time.
how hard it would be to use our new chronotons and the right polarization to travel back 25 years and make the Attenborough not discover the shadow system.
Right.
That's what I'm going to do in my spare time as Griot Tovan.
Right. I assume not like immediately and do it.
No.
You're gonna do it Janeway.
If interesting gaps in the Ithian research is that they have like, other than basically like a no time travel, basically they kind of spell it out in like big letters for like simple people, but it's like it's kind of hidden, and it's kind of, you get the impression this is like a very taboo subject for them, so it's kind of like really kind of,
So for them, everything still flows in one direction,
never anything else.
which is why they don't like the prophets.
Yeah. Well,
But that's only because they're pumping chronotons in. They can speed things up
true.
or slow it down, but they can't.
They
You
don't.
can time travel.
So they have no research for time travel
But they
for
don't
it,
want to.
other than
No, they don't travel back in
occasionally
time.
don't do this, and you know why.
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Oh, don't do
this.
that. Right. Okay. Let's
Yeah.
write that bit down.
So none of their research helps you with that.
That's fine.
But
I don't
other than
need
that-
their research.
Other than that, I think you
No,
possibly could.
it's fine, because what I'll get you to do is, while you go do that, just give the Attenborough the data on like the anti-Chroniton weapon, how to create Chronitons.
This is a whole different mission. We're going to have like a follow-on one shot where we have to pilot the Attenborough into the star and send anti-Chroniton.
What I was going to say, because it's going to be like a couple of weeks and until you hear from them, but there's lots of Simians to appear, there's lots of dealing with those, and the Enterprise, and your recommendations obviously heard very well by the...
They're going to send
and Coglos is very lots of asking questions and that kind of thing.
Computer engaged.
I would like
diplomatic.
I will talk to Coglos over the couple of weeks about his project and stuff. I'm quite interested in the generation of anti-Chronitons.
They seem to have had like a very significant amount of effort into a very narrow focus, so he doesn't...
Sure.
Yeah, it's all lots of guesswork and risky.
Okay. Then I'll try and become the foremost Federation scientist on Chroniton particles.
Sure.
So I can.
What does Elwood do?
I'm going to be spending my time petitioning Starfleet Command, Starfleet Tactical and Security, whoever will listen to me, that these guys are eventually going to turn around, betray us and kill us all. So I'll be also sending out feelers to my friends in the Bajoran. I'm going to be telling them. I'm going to be talking.
Starfleet are very rapidly trying to work out how to do defences, but there is actually a way of defending against the stuff the Simians could do. Sorry, the Ithians could do. In all of their stuff they've sent you, they've sent like most of their weapons and all that kind of stuff. You work out. You could actually quite. The problem is the problem is moving at a higher speed than them. You're going to have to do that. That's the only real way. It's very hard to stop them doing that. That's difficult to do in any large area.
That's really difficult.
Yeah, that's the main problem that you have.
Okay. Well, if the Kardashians could have sorted that out, I'm sure our greatest Starfleet minds can do it as well.
Whoa! Savage burn!
It's fine, you have the full captain's support and authorization on this, both.
But there is definitely a Bajoran underground of what the hell, we should try to kill all these guys now kind of thing. Because there's lots of...
Eventually, I want the inevitable resistance going when they try and...
underground.
It never goes away! It's always there!
I know.
In case this shit happens.
Just in case.
I know, but
it's like
you say that it's like
Because recently the buses haven't been running on time. Someone needs to sort this shit out.
It's like the Bajoran Underground. You think, oh yeah, the French Underground. Ooh, it's like the London Underground.
There probably are records again in all of the data that they've sent you that they have sent occasional ships
to go
into the Bajoran system, and they just get destroyed on entry after the first one that went in and seems to have done some sort of interaction with the people there. But then
I don't think the prophets like
because
them,
the prophets don't like them.
Yeah.
Maybe we should...
Or we should go talk to Cisco.
Yeah.
So, worst comes to worst, you can all just hide in the Bajoran system.
No, that's not... If I've got any leave coming up, I might take a trip to Bajor so I can try another
You
orb
were just there. You were there like a week ago.
You had an orb! I know, which is why I need to go back and maybe see what the prophets feel
Well, I
about
leave it to your
this.
captain if you actually have that leave.
Yes, go there right now in this torpedo tube.
I have
steering
to,
column.
I have to
So
write.
what will the medical person be doing?
I firstly have to write a snotty letter to my Vulcan friend that sent me the starfish remains, because the only reason she did it was because she thought they
Spokefish,
were
they're called spokefish.
spokefish, because she thought that they were probably a symbiote, and therefore I know about symbiotes apparently because I'm Trill. So I'm going to write her.
It seemed logical to her.
I'm going to write her a slightly snotty letter.
Symbiotist much?
It's logical to her that it seemed like a symbiote, and the fact that you didn't think it was would suggest it wasn't, and she was mistaken. However, she was proved wrong.
But right.
But at the same time,
This is what exactly.
This is why I love Vulcans.
I know she'll have a good
Vulcans, not scientists, Vulcans.
I know she'll have a good comeback for it. That's why I was going to write it, not to her.
but what else?
What else am I going to do? Let's say help out with the Attenborough as much as I possibly can. As I say, try and work out how they ever developed a natural process for harvesting chronotons of other things, but that might be beyond me and into physics, I suspect.
They seem to have a very complicated minor subspace field generator inside their brains.
Right, okay, that would explain.
Sorry, I missed that one.
They've got a subspace field generator inside their brains.
Sort of a weird, very mild one, and it seems to only work in this way, but yeah.
Cybernetics or...
Next step.
No, naturally.
No, just naturally there.
Next step, subspace field generator inside my brain.
And they can naturally speed up or slow down time to a certain extent, like
Yeah,
3, maybe 4 times the speed of things.
Yeah,
but they
they-
constantly have to control, and they feel very tired afterwards because they're kind of out of control, and they kind of have to slow down a bit. And yeah,
they evolved with a natural interaction with Chroniton.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I wonder if their things on their world would just suddenly disappear after they used their chronotons and then absorbed it from things around
Well, they
them.
destroyed their world, so...
Well, they said they destroyed them.
The whole system has been wiped from time, apparently.
Or there were a whole ecosystem where lots of the different... I mean, it'd be very odd for one creature on a planet to do something in biology. Maybe they had a whole ecosystem working on trading subspace fields for different Chroniton particles.
Sounds like an evolutionary dead end.
Like our entire...
Should be.
Most of our biospheres were built on effectively carbon exchange. Maybe theirs was built on Chroniton exchange.
Who knows?
They seem to eat that stuff as well.
They do eat as well.
We don't know what they... Do we know what they actually look like?
Yeah, I've got like 1 million different bioscans, if you want to know. They're purple, I'm assuming, and I've got little orange
Purple,
flecky
yeah,
bits on
indeed.
They've got little orange rhombuses on
So
them.
they do look like the holographic
Yes.
people. The holographic people are just their leaders or mythological figures.
Bigger with age.
Well, not with age,
No,
only
with
with
exercise.
Exercise, they
Yeah.
get
So if you're buff, you're big.
Yeah,
Like,
And I mean,
big,
like, big.
Like the tall dude, he works out.
There's a tall woman with the spear.
tall
and the-
woman, sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
she clearly works out. She's
The one with the spear and the thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
freaky species.
She's the warrior.
So what does the captain do for the next couple of weeks then?
Brush up on my first contact protocol. Send letters to everybody I know
It's going to take
about.
more than a couple of weeks.
I know. Basically, hang around. I mean, see, a Starfleet dispatch just to make first contact with the.
Lots of the other Zimians and things. Yeah. Because you made first contact with them and that went all right. So
Yeah. So
I was going to try and persuade. Sorry, Dupree. I was going to try and persuade some form of. I was like, I need to try and persuade some form of symbiote trill to volunteer to take the lead on talking to Zimians. Now, who do I know is which symbiote's done a lot of diplomacy? I was like, no, we're not nominating Dax. Send somebody, yes, because they might relate to him.
yes, no, you will be dispatched to talk with lots of Zimians and also
yeah.
because your ship's probably one of the only ones that you have a fairly certain defence against these
Yeah.
time shenanigans because you're one of the two holographic hulls in the fleet. You're also you're sent sort of around to the Zimian places and other places and just sort of kept on mobility, as it were. Sort of what's the word? Not quite manoeuvres, but
Alert.
yes.
Yes.
Until a couple of weeks happens, and then the first contact happens. It goes fairly well. You'll probably be invited to be there. They're quite friendly. they sort of. What kind of location would it be on? Like a Starfleet vessel on your vessel, possibly?
Yes,
You have a
ma'am.
flagship.
No.
That's where we do these sort of things, isn't it? Get him there.
No, that's only peace accords. That's only after a war.
Yeah. Let's not do it there. That's bad juju. Let's get a big ship out.
Oh, we are a big ship.
We'll deploy the diplomatic hull.
Yep, there is.
Oh yeah.
Diplomatic
There is one. Yeah.
Yeah. Douche.
for
douche.
So the same sort of ship, although it's got different things appearing on it. It looks a bit different. Appears.
It's got lots of sofas.
I was going to say this massive flagpole comes up the top of the wing.
Yeah.
Country.
It's holographic, it can flap in space. Just in case anyone's thinking it shouldn't flap.
But no, it goes surprisingly well. The talk goes. It's things. They're still threatening. They're still not kind. Their transporter vectors they're transporting. They still seem to have these personal holographic generators, but not physical ones. But they still have this sort of overlay.
Yeah, of clothing and graphics.
Yeah, of
not
the person. Yeah, but it's not a physical presence.
Oh,
It's just-
okay.
They just look. They still
Of
look like the main
these-
uniform woman.
of these people.
Yeah, occasionally in conversation they'll change to someone else.
Okay, for a different aspect.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But mostly they come across. They're kind of covered in this sort of. Yeah.
Wow. This is.
And then they're this, like I say, their transport effects looks like the sort of smoke appears from the floor, and then they kind of appear in it.
Oh, cool.
This one here.
Evil, definitely evil. Yeah. Keith, did you hear that? Their transporter effect looks like smoke rises from the ground and they appear in the
Oh, that's
smoke.
diplomatic.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
That's called evil.
But yes, it goes surprisingly well. You're kind of lauded. They're like, well, honestly, a lot of our things thought that this, negotiations would go badly. The initial ones, it was a high risk, but we were desperate. So, all accommodations to the captain there.
Still got the red button.
What they don't know is now the red button is on the palm of my hand. Just don't knock into it.
You shake hands.
Cheers! dead. I'm really sorry.
Negotiations are tentative. They're still abrasive. They're
Do
still.
we have someone from Starfleet?
Oh,
Proper people, not him.
Yeah, no. There's like a whole diplomatic bunch of people.
Okay,
They're just
Picard and everyone.
But that's what I'm saying. They're saying to them, "Oh, you should give your captain a thing," and all that kind of stuff. But
Commendation.
yeah.
Should be Admiral.
I spilt the momentum.
But yeah, it goes quite well. I think we'll end it there. Nothing. They threaten a lot. They're still quite sinister, but yeah, it goes well.
Yay.
So basically, we just unleashed another great
Foe.
power onto the galaxy with the technological ability to destroy us and wipe us all out.
Sinister time. For
Diplomacy.
vampires.
But currently, they're making overtures of friendship.
Currently.
Don't trust them.
Right.
So yeah, that's that's it. I think there. If that's okay.
Yeah, no, thanks,
Yeah,
Adam.
that's really cool.
That was really cool.
I enjoyed that.
So
Yeah.
Your advancement, it's the end of the mission.
Yay!
Oh.
Thank you, Adam.
Soon as they make you admiral.
You just wanted to be, mentioned in dispatches or something, didn't you? You don't want to...
Oh, you absolutely will. I mean, you discover 2 civilizations, and then stop what probably the destruction of the Federation,
It's got
possibly.
2 civilizations in 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Or something.
Do you want the plans of the Ithian destruction weapon to fall into the hands of the Bajoran rebels? Anyway,
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that.
yeah, it's very cool. No,
Once
really
you're
enjoyed
full
that.
of they're going to be both in prison.
Hey, nothing new for me.
It's 3,000 years in the future. I've infused everyone with chronotons. No, sorry.
So yeah, hope it was fun. Hope it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
Did we get through it? Didn't have to rush that much. So yeah,
That was cool.
the diplomatic solution. If you gone for the fighting solution, then there would have been lots of simplified roles as opposed to the whole full combat. But yeah,
Sure. Well, we did the Federation thing. Well, sorry, the captain did the I was ready with
Let's
the
just
button.
say if this was any other sci-fi game...
but no, we're not taking into consideration. They just seem incredibly distrustful, arrogant bastards that were just going to.
Oh, I'm sure they're going to turn around and
And the fact you
turn
didn't
into
go,
bastards.
no, the fact you didn't actually go with your instincts and go, no, these do seem like no, we won't give them a chance. Let's just kill them. The fact you didn't do that, but it probably turned out better than it would have done otherwise, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, we probably would have all died. Which is, sometimes.
No, because literally, you were in command. What did you do? Fired torpedoes.
Hey, it works.
Sam was in command, and not this Sam, other Sam, was in command, captain briefly of a Defiant class. First contact, fire.
Yeah.
Mine wasn't a first contact situation when I fired torpedoes. Yeah, there was a genuine invasion going on. Just
Genuine invasion. Okay, well, thank you very much for watching the finale
Indeed.
of Star Trek Morpheus. That's the last episode of this show. Thank you very much for joining us. We've had a hell of a ride. Cool to do 3 sort of smaller missions, but all building up to the Ithian piece. It was really cool. Sorry that I destroyed one of the episodes.
It was the best one.
But that was a really cool episode. That was really cool, and I know that that's recorded. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. Please check out all the social media. There's a load of freebies and giveaways going on at the moment. You just have to comment on some of our videos, and you could win starter sets for Star Wars and Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. And we're about to do Spire giveaway. You get Spire, the role-playing game, Strata, the expansion, and 2 exclusive posters.
And the art is very pretty.
The art is really cool. So that's going to be coming up at the weekend, so probably about the time this comes out. So check that out as well. Check out the Discord, the Patreon, and all of those other things down below. Help us support Diabetes UK.
That's what's down below.
The frog people are down below. And all that's left to say is live long and prosper. Bye-bye.